Good evening, gentlemen and lady bodies. Welcome to the F1 Power Box, sponsored by KP Salted Peanuts, for this week's pre-show on the Italian Grand Prix. This week I'm joined by resident caster Daniel.
Hello there.
And resident Italian for his second home race of the season, and McLaren captain Pyrophire.
Hello.
Even though he was last week a caster, is now yet again a driver.
And he's not a resident Italian either, he's in Germany.
Well, he is Italian. Let's not go too...
Let's not bring the nationality debate into it.
Yeah.
Round 7. Monza, Italy.
Hey.
This week. Last race before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, etc. Look at our nice little hats. Dan's hat even has a crown.
Yeah, I got the king hat. I was very lucky. But I think you've got the right amount of lean on the hat.
I can only give expert props to our production team of a single man who does his hardest. Let's get into it then, lads, if we're ready. Let's start off with a quick flash to the past and go back to looking at last week's results from the Netherlands. Daniel, if you want to give us a rundown.
Yeah, let's do just that. So you can see the name at the top, Salty Gaben. That name is not greased P1 at the end of a race before, so props to him. He's won loads in BBU. Hopefully this is the first of many for him. Glenn's going to be happy to see his junior driver get up there. Franklin on the podium as well, after some clarifications from our stewarding team. Taking home 15 points, and with Law, made Alpha Tauri a really high scorer. So they're just a few things to pick out. The other one that I want to draw your attention to if you're watching is the sheer number of DNFs. Zandvoort isn't really a Monaco type of track where you've got really enclosed walls, but it's so hard to get traction, and we saw so many incidents and so many totaled cars. We had, I think that's 9 totaled cars. It's either 8 or 9 retirements, which is, I don't know the record, but it's got to be competing. We've had demolition derbies in Brazil, Spa. This is competing with them. So many people falling by the wayside, Brandon.
It's a crazy rate of attrition. The only people to finish scored points. Only 10 cars finished from the 19, which is, a big grid. This week should be 20, but 19 started. 10 finished to score points. 2 of them, one of them a lap down, one of them unfortunately taken out on the last lap by Hodgson, who did receive the drive-through penalty as repercussion for his unfortunate move.
Where did you? Sorry to interrupt. Where did you finish, Pyro?
I was casting what? Finished with the broken dreams of Brian Carlos.
Unlucky guys. Yeah. For those who didn't watch last week, I had Pyro visit my house as part of a tour through the UK, and got to cast with him and Charmander live.
And I loved it, every second of it.
It's I did say it before the race. The Netherlands is a good driving track. It's not necessarily a good racing track. None of the names you'd expect to be at the top end of a race, Travis, Sonny, so far this season, were up there. In fact, neither of those 2 names even finished. So it just shows you what it can happen to anyone and how bad the attrition can be.
Well said.
Going over a few things from last week then. Obviously, I did briefly mention it, but Hodgson did receive, in a dramatic twist of events, a drive-through penalty for his unfortunate manoeuvre, which resulted in him DNFing Moraldinho. There were a few things overturned. Travis got a 5, which was overturned. Monty was disqualified completely unfairly by the game. That was overturned. I don't think there's anything else of interest.
No, I think you've got them all. There was a nice little bunch up at the end between Trav, Glenn and Law after, let's just say, misjudgment of acceleration at the end of a safety car period. But that got all sorted out. The super license points were revoked, and hopefully everyone has a smile on their face.
Involving the Ferrari captain and the Mercedes captain. No, definitely not one at all.
And yeah,
Racing Rivals
definitely
from last
not one
week.
from Red Bull either with Travis. I'll not go into it now, Blaze. Yeah, Racing Rivals, well distracted. So yeah, Racing Rivals, it's the meme competition to accompany the official one. Probably the biggest thing I can say is that with the exception of one, I think that's one of the Mercedes drivers, I'll have to confirm that. Pretty much all of the junior drivers overcame their senior counterparts. So Navor in Williams beat Somther in Mercedes in the Derby week. Glenn on the senior team lost to Gaben. The only senior driver to beat their junior counterpart was Hodgson beating Maka in Ferrari. So yeah, a real shock to things. Ferrari still hold the top spots in both groups. Williams are looking all right as well. Towards the bottom, we've got sort of Alpine in Group 1, the lead Alfa Romeo seat, and the backup McLaren and Aston Martin seats. More on that later.
It would be at this point that I'd ask either of the two people sat opposite me how the race went for them, but you know, neither of you drove last week, so I guess we can skip that one.
Hell yeah.
Only other news then, like I said, everyone get ready for the big sigh, but this is the last race before Christmas. Oh, everyone cry. We will be back on the 9th of January for Portimao. Yep, I'm 90% certain that's correct.
You're the
Both
race
days, no track.
director, you can get to call it. But yeah,
but it's a motor race, so you know I can decide what happens. It's a motor race, Toto.
Yeah, it's motor racing. Yeah, just to confirm, Blaze, that's a 2-week break for our drivers and anyone associated.
Yep.
Nice.
Keep your eye on the radar for things that we're going to be running in the meantime. On to the driver standings then. Here's where things get a bit spicy. Travis still in front. Sonny still on 69 points in second.
Nice.
Alex still in third. Who'd have thought the three drivers that didn't turn up or finish didn't move? Glenn now holding down fourth spot, 57. Somther, 47. Crispy, 45. Me in, what's that, 7th? Yeah, 32. Both Alfa Romeos taking up 8th and 9th. And Monty bringing up the best of the rest on the same points as the others in 10th. Notable exception from this top 10 list, to Travis's delight, even though he's not here, is Hodgson.
Yeah, he's
I'm not going to be changing for today either, because he's not racing.
It's worth saying Hodge has 24 points, so he's only slightly not on the list, but he's not on the list, so unlucky. In fact, Law, with his great showing in the Netherlands, is on 23 and is nearly usurping those at the bottom. Flyer, who had not raced for like 4 or 5 races, was in the top 10, but loads of people have displaced him recently. It's getting really close, as you said, Blaze, due to the top 3 not scoring any points last weekend. The next lot of drivers have just found their way to really bunch up.
I think the thing that stands out most is that Glenn has managed to sneak his way into a 4th place, 5 points behind Red Bull. You know, there's always the meme of Ferrari, Mercedes will just be the best of the rest. Glenn's currently 10 points clear of the nearest Merc, but only 5 points behind the nearest Red Bull. Does his current position surprise you at all, Copy? Do you think Glenn should be in 4th place? Or is he just riding on some good luck early in the season?
Well, he is not a bad driver, but seeing him before certainly is a surprise, yeah. But we'll see. We have a competitive grid this year, so I can't really say if he will remain there. Probably not, especially with Sati Gaben and stepping up, and Maka also being quite a good driver. I don't know, but he's consistent. Somehow he always in the races just suddenly at the end of the race appears somewhere in the top 7, top 6 even. So well, not surprised so far, but I don't know if he can hold it.
Are you gonna back your ex Ferrari boss, or are you gonna be rooting for your ex Ferrari and bigger teammate for bigger things? Glenn in a false position, or do you think he's involved in the right battle, being that he's closer to a Red Bull than he is a Merc? Dan.
To be honest, I like Glenn's consistent scoring. It was my style of scoring when I was in VLF1. Not quite getting the podium positions, but just getting consistent high points every week without incident. I don't see him advancing further because Sonny and Charmander Nerd, they're close on points, but Charmander has missed 2 races, and Sonny has missed 1 and retired in 2. So Sonny and Charmander, I think, have better potential. you've got a real hodgepodge, pardon the pun, further down the ratings, because you've got a few drivers who have scored consistently. As Pyro said, Glenn hasn't scored lower than 7th. Same with Somther. Crispy's finished in 3 races recently and hasn't gone lower than 4th. But then you've got the really inconsistent coin flippers, such as Gaben, who's retired in one race, classified as 12th in another race, and then won his 3rd one. So you really can't call a few of these. I expect Glenn to stay there or thereabouts, because marathon, not a sprint, is how you do a VLF1 season. And I think he's got the pedigree, even if not to challenge for 4th, to be minimum 6th by end of the season.
Minimum 6th.
Minimum 6th, because after all, you can't expect to finish 5th anymore in VLF1.
Well, I suppose just because you couldn't expect it doesn't mean Glenn couldn't, but I get what you're getting at. It's good to at least, give room for margin of error, I suppose you could describe it as. The only Hodgson not being in the top 10, do you think that's a sign of things to come? I do want to point out that Maka has only scored points in one race and Gaben has only scored points in one race. Both of them, they were races they won. Whereas Hodgson, who's been scoring in multiple races, hasn't scored more than what is effectively a single race win. Do we think Hodgson's going to struggle to, bring himself into the fold, or is it still too early to say? Dan, what's your initial thoughts?
I think I've got a nice inside track on Ferrari because, that was their driver last, and it's just fun to see the fact that the Alfa Romeo drivers on their best day look like they're going to outscore the Ferrari drivers every race. And Glenn's just got his junior coin flip boys to send out who provably can win a race. I think Hodge is doing better than the scoreboard would have you believe. He is threatening to be the new Byron or Daisy because he scored in 3 races. All of them have been classified 6th place, which was that meme from season 2. He has had 3 retirements, so he's got to get some consistency, but Hodge has attended a lot of VLF1 races. He doesn't just throw 2-week absences like when Con forgot his alarm clock for a fortnight. He is just going to be able to turn up, get those consistent points, much like his captain Glenn does. I don't see him being out of the top 10 for long. Hodge will be back, but I don't know if he'll be able to outscore either Alfa Romeo driver. It's really interesting to see that dynamic. And Alfa Romeo is so coin flip. They're the team to watch if you want to be entertained.
Spicy Alfa Romeo, spicy Ferrari. Copy. None of your drivers showing up in this list at the board. For reference, where is Copy in the standings at the minute?
Too far down.
15th on 13 points. Carlos 19th on 4 points. Scott joint last because he's not raced yet because his license has only now not got enough points on it to allow him to race. Yep, that's an awkward way of saying it. I may just for the memes pull a Michael Massey and bar Scott from racing anyway, but we'll see how I feel tomorrow. What do you think, Copy? Are either any of you or Carlos or Scott realistically looking at a top 10 finish, or are we worried that the field is a bit too competitive this year?
Well, the field is competitive this year, quite a lot. But, I can't say a lot about Scott. I haven't seen him race yet.
No one's seen him race, that's the point.
Yeah, so I don't know how competitive he can be. But I hope he will be very competitive, so at least one McLaren is up there. I'm a little disappointed of Carlos this year because initially I wanted to keep him because I saw him as a top 10 contender, even with the field closing in a little bit more and being more competitive. I still saw him score here and there good points, which I don't know, maybe the game this year is not for him or why he's struggling this much. But yeah, so far, not really impressed with it. So it will be hard. If he doesn't get his grips on, I don't think I will see him in the top 10 anywhere soon. Well, Scott, I just hope he's going to be somewhere there. For me, I just tried to finish in the points. I mean, I'm realistic. I'm just a midfield driver. I'm a Hulkenberg.
So you're just trying to do the bare minimum to get through. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, technically. I know I'm not that competitive, but I will score. I'm happy with 1 or 2 or 4 points. As long as I score a point, I'm happy.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
Well,
let's move on to Go on. What were you going to say?
No, I was about to say only two race tracks I want to score more, which was Imola and is now Monza, but you know how Imola went, so.
So you're going to try and make it spicy for this week then, is that what you're saying?
Yes. I mean, that's the only times I can show my actual skill, you know.
Okay. So basically, you're just going to sandbag every race apart from the 2 Italian ones. Right, that's how it is.
Yeah, basically.
Glorious.
Let's moving on to the constructor standings. Red Bull's still sitting pretty regardless of the fact they scored 159. Yep, there's a lead. Ferrari moving up to second, pushing Aston Martin, Team Sunny down to third. Williams leapfrogging Mercedes, which is embarrassing. Fourth, Mercedes fifth. Alfa Romeo sixth. Yep, counting. AlphaTauri moving their asses off the bottom into seventh after one race. Good points all, as Craddock mentioned earlier. Alpine eighth. Haas, the team with no drivers, ninth. McLaren, copy, bottom of the pile.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, copy. What's going on here? Surely you don't think you should be down that far down the pile.
No, we just had a bad start in this season, and we will recover.
Who would you say that you're battling this season? Alpine? AlphaTauri?
Well, I think AlphaTauri more than Alpine because.
Oh, okay. A duty team more than an actual team. Okay, spicy.
Yeah,
spicy.
The words have been twisted.
That's a hot take right there.
I mean, I don't know if I should see Alpine more further down or further up, but I feel like we're fighting AlphaTauri more than Alpine at this point.
I mean, it's I'm going to stand in Copy's defense here, because if you'd said Alfa Romeo was the junior team, you could argue they're the senior team. Just don't look at that giant points board in the background.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I suppose you could look at it in some variety of spice.
Which two Project Ferrari drivers have got wins, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, yeah. I just think it's a bit of a shame that McLaren, a team which historically has done well in VL, is currently rooting the bottom of the table. In theory, in a perfect world, a position that would be held by one of the 3 junior teams. I know it hasn't worked out like that, but
just a difficult start. It's just a difficult start. Just
as long as you're confident you can turn it around, I think a lot of us are happy. It doesn't seem right that orange is that bottom square.
No. We will be up there soonish.
Ferrari moving into second. Is the prophecy you saw of Aston Martin not being able to maintain it coming true, Dan?
It's so hard to say, and it's only by 4 points. Sonny will be competitive as long as he's on a track, but he'll also be volatile, which is the danger of the one-man team that me and also people like Charmander have pointed out previously. So I can still see that battle going on. What's obvious is that even though Red Bull failed to score, they've got such a ridiculous lead. You could almost call it insurmountable, despite the fact we're 6 rounds in. And they've got 2 really good, consistent drivers. So I don't see Red Bull dropping it. Ferrari Aston Martin has a lot more coming to it. I think Merck will beat Williams long term, although you've got a lot of promise in your team, Blaze. I really want to point out that Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri had so many of their points come from that last race in Zandvoort. AlphaTauri scored the most points of the weekend, with Lauren Franklin getting top 4. They scored 27 points, which is, more than 2/3 of their current total. And the only time that Alfa Romeo have scored points is from wins. They have 2 wins, which is 50 points, and no other classifications. They are actually perfect first placing the constructors table. So they need a bit more consistency, but yeah, you don't know how to read them. They could go Ferrari or McLaren, one way or the other.
I think I'm going to ask myself this question, but I think the Mercedes-Williams thing is a temporary blotch because I have a bit more freedom in my team than Ferrari do. If Crispy is picking up points more regularly than Somther, then I can put Crispy in the Merc. I have that freedom because I don't have a top 10 lock. And realistically, if my actual top 10 driver was here, I think Mercedes would be comfortably ahead of Williams because Rock has got, top 3 pace. Or at least you would think that, but he's not here, so I can't rely on that. At the minute, Somther's racing in the Merc this weekend after Christmas. We'll see if Crispy may steal the black seat away from the the man who's recently sat himself in it.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a battle between those, to be honest. And yeah, Rock's departure, he's great at getting to the finish of races, just not great at getting to the start of it. It's as an outsider to Merc, it's just disappointing to think what you could have done. But I'm sure that'll be no small comfort to Somther, who's probably not going to have seen the Merc seat if Rock was there the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, Somther's had pretty much most of the season in it. I mean, I'm more currently letting the team down, but I'm the one that can't move. So, Lamau, one of the other ones can move instead. But I've got all 3 of my drivers in the top 10. I can't complain about that. I'm doing something right.
Season 4 Ferrari tech.
Any other battles you can see, Dan? I am a little bit interested in this 3-way Alpine, AlphaTauri, McLaren fight, if you will. Obviously, the regular horse driver, it's going to be whoever's free that week filling the seat.
Yeah, it's really tricky to label a lot of the battles near the bottom, especially with the junior project teams and with the teams that have a lot of flux in them. For example, Haas, who at the start of the season were consistently calm and flyer, 2 of the best drivers in the league. But then this week, I think we've got 2 completely novice drivers locked. So there's a lot of flux there. I think the best one to look at if you want to track some improvement is Monty and Shadowhopper in Alpine. They've got Envy to bring in as well, but in 5 of the 6 races so far, it's been the same 2, Monty and Shadowhopper. So they've been scoring small amounts. They're probably the ones that a neutral would be fans of, in hoping that they pick up better points, improve over the course of the season, and the Constructors' Championship table will accurately reflect how they do, as opposed to teams with more mercenary drivers in those last spots.
I suppose it's still early enough in the season where you can't really start to predict something. But then again, I say it's early. We're now a quarter of the way through the season.
Yeah, how many races have we got? Is it 26, 28?
26, and we're on round 7. Roughly a quarter.
Yeah.
There are patterns forming. Red Bull at the top, close between Ferrari, Aston, and Williams. Ferrari, Aston, and Mercedes. You can sort of see where the gaps are forming and where the battles are more likely to end up. I suppose we can just see, if we were to say, look at it again in 5 rounds, round 12, those patterns will probably be a bit more obvious. And I'm sure it's now a pattern that you're going to look for because I've put it in your brain, Dan.
Yeah, well, so I'm already looking at last season, to be honest, because at this point it was a 3-horse race between Haas with Carmen and Flyer, I believe. Red Bull with Travis and Charmander, and then we had Ferrari with Hodgson and Sonny at the time, so a really solid 3-way battle. It's not that this season, but as you said, whatever team you support, whatever team you want to take a look at, you can find your own individual battle as the season progresses.
Moving on to this week, the Temple of Speed. Autodromo. Go on. Copy. You give it as in its full Italian flair rather than me butchering the Italian.
I actually have to look it up how the full name goes at this one.
Yeah, there we go.
Pentoi message me. Thank you. Autodromo Nazionale di Monza.
Monza. The Temple of Speed. Round 7. You can't predict how Monza's going to go at all in a grid with cars that are all the exact same performance. You can't being on pole is no more secure than being in 20th at Monza, because it just depends on where that inevitable touch is that causes 6 cars to go off at turn 3 or 2. The most infamous part of Monza is always turn 1, lap 1. You can be in any position and then gain or lose 5 from that position, including first. You can start first and be minus 14th. Like, it's that crazy of, as much as you pray for a clean turn 1, it just doesn't happen because of what turn 1 is.
Yeah.
But even then, it's a track that, Ascari can catch out the best drivers and make a mistake, and they either spin, lose time, or Worse, they put it in a barrier. Getting the exit from Parabolica down that straight can make all the difference, and that can, vary from lap to lap depending on who you're battling with. It's just, I'm struggling for words because it's hard to represent how Monza is, but it's always a track everyone looks forward to watching. Yeah, the real F1 calendar or a VL race, Monza is always exciting. Wet, dry. It's always going to have overtaking, close battles, people sending it on corners they shouldn't be sending it, people pushing each other off because someone's tried to send it at the wrong corner, chicanes, people braking too late, going over sausage curbs, causing pileups. It's just a roller coaster of a race. Any big trends or any big stats from previous VL races that sort of jump out at you, Dan?
Yeah, so actually I was looking at this with the Ferrari boys, #neutral, #not biased, #definitely not a part of the team after driving for them. We in the last 4 races, so this is one of the tracks that we've done since season 1. Carlos, McLaren boy, won it in season 1, and he's not actually racing for them this week. The other 3 winners, or the winners of the other 3 races, are more predictable. Calm twice in 2 and 3, and then Flyer in season 4. We've had dry races most of the time with a little bit of light rain in season 3. Blaze, give us a quick rundown of the last corner in season 4 for us.
This is the bit where it would have been nice if I'd given production a clip to show, as opposed to me trying to describe it. Never before have I come that close to winning a race in 5 seasons of being the most winningest driver without a race win. Is that a fair way to describe it? No one has more podiums without a race win than me. No one has more points without a race win than me. I think Statsman Cradden can back that one up.
Yeah.
Never before have I been so close and then snatched backwards unfairly by the game to pull me away from a winning margin. Yeah, it's like that meme with the guy with the ball and then the purple blob behind him pulling him back.
Yeah, so many podiums. I think you were 3rd 7 times in the first 4 seasons. The 2 times you finished 2nd have been Germany season 1, #Hodgson, and this one we're talking about, last Monza. So yeah,
I finished 2nd round 1 of this season as well. Thank you very much.
Let's blame the stats. The computers. I'm gonna have to tap the computer a few times. But yeah, a lot of the time the grid can be shaken up. That was certainly the case in season 3. In the last season's race rather, Blaze finished 2nd, but he started from 14th on the grid, so he gained one of the most numbers of places on the grid. Calm started at the very back and got himself to 7th at the end, and everything was very bunched up because of a final safety car. So anything could happen. A lot of the top names do seem to rise to the top. Pace is very important at the Temple of Speed. Exits are important, and Ascari is such a skill check that it does sort of separate the men from the boys. But because of spins, because of the new 2021 handling model on the game, because of just general unpredictability and safety cars and incidents, we could be seeing quite a few surprising results. The one thing I wanted to point out, if I can get the roster lock sheet up, we've had the roster lock today, and we've got a couple of changes. The most important one is we're going to have to party outside of the local penitentiary. Scott has finally been released from VLF1 super licensed prison after going below the 21-point threshold. So, yeah, Pyro, just a few words. What do you think about Scott joining the McLaren boys again?
And what was the logic behind dropping Carlos? We to end up picking him up as a reserve for Williams. What went through your mind when you thought, okay, I need to pick between the 2 drivers, and you picked Scott over Carlos?
Well, like I said earlier, Carlos has been only a disappointment so far, if I say so. But yeah, I don't know what's happening to him, but so far he hasn't really delivered. And Scott looks like to be a raw diamond, you never know. It could be something beautiful, maybe something in the top 3, I don't know, maybe, or something even top 5. I would be happy. So I don't know where he will slot in, how well he will do. I just know that Carlos hasn't performed, so I was like, okay, so let's give Scott a try first. Also, I don't see why I shouldn't give Scott also a chance in McLaren first before lending him out to other drivers after his ban got lifted. So Those two things played a role.
I mean, yeah, there's always the chance that he pulls something out of the bag and he wins a race. I mean,
No. Winning a race, it's for me and Monza. If he is first and I'm second.
Second.
Team orders.
We've
Team
got
orders.
we've got a Ricardo Norris situation all over again.
Yeah.
When you look at it, Maka, it's his first season, he's won a race. Gaben, it's his first season, he's won a race. Sonny's got his first win this season. We've not got that dominance of, Travis, calm, flyer, winning everything constantly. Copy could win a race and it wouldn't be against the stats tonight. It's, it could be on the cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other battles, Copy? Who do you think you're going to be? Well, you're going to be winning the race. That means you're going to be battling Trav, I suppose, and Sonny. How are you going to pull off this magical feat? I guess I'm going to have to ask you. What is it about Monza that you think you need to get perfect that will give you the edge over anyone else? What is it you're looking at is, if I can do this better than anyone else, is it Ascari? Is it the final corner? Is it the race start? Is it the strat? What's the one thing that you want to do better than anyone else that you think could then win you a race?
Well, that's the hard part. There's nothing really I have to do better because this season it's so stacked. Everyone has something that he can do better than everyone else. And to be fair, yeah, of course, it's hard to beat Travis or Sunny at this point. So what I would really need is just a little bit of a miracle, just something like last weekend, just a little bit fucky wucky here and there, and then a little bit of luck for me, and then less inting from my side as well, and a good strategy. As good strategy is always key.
We're talking like full Michael Massey here to get you that win.
Yes.
Okay, I'll see what I can pull out the bag for you is our Michael Massey.
I mean, I just want to have one race win, and if this would be at my home track, it would be a dream. I would just would be too delicious.
As the only Italian on the grid, you get priority if anyone's going to get a home win this week. Dan, going into the race, any battles that you're looking forward to? Anything in particular? It doesn't have to be battle, but anything that you're looking forward to going into tonight?
To be honest, we've got a few new drivers, Blaze. So Icarus has been with us for 2 races now. This will be Navo's second race. Franklin was with us a few seasons ago, but this will be his second race this season. Scott rejoining us from Super License Jail. Envy joining us in a non-Alpine seat for the first time this season. I think I'm correct in saying that. We've just got a lot of a shake-up of the grid. The full grid in itself, if we do get that, it's going to be magnificent. But we've got a lot of new faces, a lot of unpredictability. And even though we've got the solid contenders, the Travs, the Sunnies, the Charmanders, maybe an Alfa Romeo here or there, you feel as though anything could happen. So I wouldn't point out any specific battles, but just a general sense of, to back up your point earlier, with 6 races gone and with 5 different winners, it's never been a more opportune point where any driver could come off and get a podium or a win. It happened to... sorry, I have to respond to that coughing and say that it is Pyro's win. So, anyone can come out and get 2nd place or 3rd place in the race.
I love it.
I think you can't, as much as we can predict and talk about and forecast, Monza is one of those tracks where it turns on a dime. However, I do still want some spicy predictions. So let's go. First, we'll do 90, 50, 10. So, okay. Dan, you go first.
Let's do it. So, 90, I think Scott has turned a corner, pun not intended. I think he's going to go clean this race. I don't think he's going to pick up any super license penalties. Ooh. I think it's been reduced what different things can give you a super license penalty. I think he's going to be so conscious about not getting any more points, particularly because he's so high, that he's going to be very clean. So that's my 90. My 50 is going to be the same as last week, and I love it because it's so coin flip. I'm going to say that Alfa Romeo are going to outscore Ferrari. It could happen, it might not. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Ferrari have the consistency, Alfa Romeo have the coin flip. It's all in everyone's hands. Now, for the 10%, I can't remember if, Pyro, you did a really good one. Was it you or Charmander who said that Franklin's going to finish top 5?
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was one of you guys when you were overcasting Zandvoort with me. I'm going to do something crazy, and I'm going to say that Haas has 2 drivers in the top 5, Icarus and Navor at the moment. So that's my 10%.
Ooh.
Okay, copy.
Well, now my 90% is gonna be that there's gonna be a safety car. Well, this is just a given.
Okay.
Well, I mean, with the game, you never know. There could be a lot of virtual, but never a fully safety car. But I still feel like in 90%, there's gonna be a safety car.
Okay.
50% is that's gonna be my win. You know.
Okay.
Nice.
50%. I bet.
Let's make it a 50-50.
You either win or you don't, you know.
We can change the odds. We just make it 60-40 for me.
Okay.
You know? And 10%. It's a hard one, but I feel like we will find another surprise, and I'll also go with Icarus is gonna score high. And if it's not Icarus, then it's gonna be Scott that's gonna finish high. So either one of those.
Okay.
Gonna be a surprise.
That's good. I'll take those. Okay, last one then. Oh, but I know it's a while away yet, Dan, but if you can remember to come back to these 90-50-10s after the race, I don't know how you're going to remember to do it, but if it somehow jiggles around in your head, then it could be cool to come back and look at these retroactively after the race.
Or if it doesn't work, I can make up what they were and get every single one correct.
Yes, that's also true. Okay, then. What I did last week, neither of you were here, but you would have seen it if you'd watched the pre-show. I'm going to hit you with quick fire questions that are designed to catch you out, but give you an honest answer.
Okay, love it.
Okay, so let's go with start off easy and we'll ramp it up. So, copy first. You've already answered this, but I'm going to ask it again. Safety car, yes or no?
Yes.
How many?
3.
Dan, safety car, yes or no?
Yes, only 2.
Okay, copy wet or dry?
Wet.
Dan, wet or dry?
Dry.
Okay, now we get spicy. Travis race win. Copy, yes or no?
No.
Dan?
No, it's Pyros.
Okay.
Oh, he's racking
Mercedes,
on that one.
Ferrari or Mercedes to score higher at just the senior teams. Copy.
Ferrari.
Dan?
Mercedes.
Okay.
I think he could have been it.
Will the race winner be someone new that hasn't won a race this season?
Yes.
Will today's race winner be someone that hasn't won a race before yet this season? Copy.
Yes.
Dan?
I think it will be one of our existing winners. I can see Red Bull being too strong.
Okay, you ready to get spicy? The higher finisher, Sonny or Charmander, Pyro?
Oh, Sunny.
Dan?
Consistent track, Charmander.
Me or Glenn? Copy.
You.
Dan?
Trick question, both DNF each other.
Nice.
Okay. Okay, last one. Do we think, realistically, any of the undrafted drivers that are driving this week, so it's like your Franklin, your Icarus, Navor, not the drafted ones, just the undrafted ones, get a podium? Copy.
No.
Dan?
I can't see it. All of the miracle juices for Pyro. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can glean from that, most likely a Travis win. No one knew who's going to win it as much as we want Copy to win it because, home field advantage. You'll always be the winner in our hearts, Copy, regardless if you DNF or win.
Hell
Merc
yeah.
to beat Ferrari and me to beat Glenn. But the thing with Italy is you can't throw anything super spicy in because the chances are it's completely coin flip anyway. Unless you want to do one of these after qualifying with your co-host Dan to add some spice with Joycey. Because once you know what qualifying is, you can predict. Oh, okay. One more. Pile up turn 1 caused by a malicious attack. As in someone actually caused, if you to then look back at it, it wasn't an accident, it was a driver being stupid, as opposed to a racing incident. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I'll go first.
Copy.
Go on.
Go on.
Pyro.
Yes, I can see someone not braking.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I can. I don't think anyone will be malicious. To be honest, Zandvoort was clean. It was much cleaner than I thought it was going to be at the start. I think we'll actually have a good turn 1, so feel free to record this so you can play it.
Recording it anyway, don't worry. It's live.
So feel free to make a separate clip so you can place it over the 16-car pilot that we're about to see.
Okay, bet. Stalled production, if you can hear me, that's one to remember on the spiciness factor for the meme posts, yeah? Bet. Okay, I think with that then, I think we're done for this version of the Power Box, the fabulous VLF1 Stadium of Light of Power. What's it called? Comms Box Studio. I can't think what we're actually. It's Power Box. Power Box. Sponsored by Walker Sensations Thai Sweet. No, we're not sponsored.
Panini.
Copy, thanks for joining us. We'll see if we can get you back on at some point this season, but it's nice to have someone other than Trav, as much as I love Trav.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Dan, I'm sure you need to go get ready for the actual race upcoming, but as per usual, it's fantastic to have you outside of your capacity of screaming at drivers for being bad.
Back at you on same sentiment.
So then, coming up after this, Cradden and Joycey. Wow. Cradden, Imola, Monza, Italy. Coming up after this, could be spicy, could be boring, most likely going to be one hell of a race that you do not want to miss. Mercedes could beat Ferrari according to these two. Let's see what actually happens. We'll catch you right after this.
Pubblicità.
Grazie ragazzi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hoping it's a good Sunday for you. The snow is falling outside if you're lucky enough to be in that area. It's getting close to Christmas. You can see our hats, and you can see the hat of a new person on the stream. My name's Cradden, and along with my boy Dormin, we'll be taking you through this evening's Italian Grand Prix in Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Cheers, Pyro. Dormin, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Impressed by your accent, but I'm not Italian, so I can't comment.
There we go. I'm not Italian either, but I can fake it for a few words at least. We've got Pyro's home track. It's his second home track this season because we did Emilia Romagna a few weeks ago, and yeah, should be a good one. Dormin, I think you wanted to race tonight. How are you feeling about being on the casting bench instead?
Relieved because the Cubs are not good fun around here.
Yeah, well said. I think you mentioned a few times while we looked at the practice session that our drivers went through that there was just so much prone to floor damage, a lot of drivers falling by the wayside. Is that a thing that's changed in the game this time around for 2021, or is that just a danger that drivers have to look out for in Monza?
I think in general, Monza's quite dangerous for the curbs. It's easy to spin, it's easy to get sent in the air. But having played previous games, I didn't play 2020. I do not remember there being such a problem with floor damage around Monza or any other track. So definitely something that seems to be more prone for this game.
Yeah, it's just a few of the dangers that our drivers will have to watch out for. And that's just the track. Of course, it's VLF1. So you have to watch out for 19 other people who are trying to frustrate your ambitions. I think we've got a full grid tonight. Hopefully that will get confirmed shortly. And yeah, it should be a fun ride. For anyone who watched anyone who didn't watch the pre-show, which was on this Twitch stream or on this YouTube video on demand just before now, the standings before the race, they're looking very good if you're a Red Bull fan. Travis and Charmander are in P1 and P3 in Drivers' Championship. They've got a stranglehold on the Constructors' Championship. Sonny, Glenn, Ferrari, Aston Martin, they're looking fairly strong, but it will take a lot to upset the boys in blue. Domina, do you know much about the drivers, or are you just focusing on your boy Rowan at this point?
Well, I race quite a lot with Shadowhopper and Envy. Me and Shadowhopper have done relatively quite a bit through our two-player career, including Monza twice. And if I've learned anything from us two playing Monza, is that finishing isn't easy, as neither of us finished both our attempts around there. And yeah, Envy is maybe not quite as quick as Shadow. And my boy Rowan is relatively new to the game, but did get a P10 through the slow and steady, wins the race, finishing last, but in the points last time out of Zandvoort.
Yeah, Zandvoort was so dangerous. We had one DNA and 9 retirements, meaning that everyone who finished got a point. Rowan wasn't too hot on the pace, but yeah, Tortoise beats the hare in that case. And Navor, who now has driver number 72, was Williams at that point. Is going to be in the Grey of Haas this time around. Is going to look for more points to get a 100% record. That's fairly formidable for the guy. Yeah, Navor will have Icarus on his side. The normal Haas lineup of Calm Flyer couldn't make it. So yeah, Navor, Icarus, hopefully going to be in Grey tonight. Pyro is the hometown hero, and we've got Scott coming out of Super License jail. For those who are unaware, Scott has been unable to race in VLF1 for most of a season because of the super license rules and him having accumulated spade loads due to different infringements. What do you think will be going through his mind, Dormin? Do you think he'll be out for revenge? Will he try and take out the race director?
I don't think taking out anyone is a smart idea unless you want to get a race ban. So I'm gonna have to see what happens.
Yeah, well said. Gentlemen, a short view back to the past. We can look at how the last few Italian races went. So I should say the Monza races rather than the other Italian tracks that we might have gone on. We've had 4 previous races in Monza. Our boy Carlos, who is racing tonight, won in Season 1 for McLaren. Carlos will be a Williams driver this time round. Calm won in Seasons 2 and 3. I think once for Ferrari and once for Mercedes. And then Flyer took the crown for Haas in Season 4. So Flyer and Calm won't be here tonight. The only previous winner on track will be Carlos, although we've got a few really fast drivers. And Dormin, I'm actually talking to the number 4 in time trial at the moment because your time is really close to Travis, Sonny, Crispy, those drivers that are really up there. If any of our drivers are just really panicking at the moment and looking for last-minute advice, What sort of advice would you give to people attempting Monza?
I would have to say be consistent and know where you're braking, because Monza is, I guess, 90% braking and exit speed. So you need to know where you're braking, but it's not easy to be consistent with it. So I would definitely recommend for the race, especially if you're able to be consistent and avoid the floor damage, the side pod damage you may get, and any other damage you would get from other cars, you have a good shout at doing well.
Well said. It's so important to avoid a DNF or retirement. Taking a look at the last 2 VL races, at least in Season 3, the Season 1 champion Carlos DNF'd after 3 stops, no less. Tent going foul and Glenn taking a DSQ. And last season, Prix was the only one to DNF. So it's not been that treacherous a race when we've run it a few times in the past. But as we saw from Zandvoort, 2021 can throw anything in our faces. So there's the potential for some fun, whatever happens. I'll do a few predictions later on, but are there any sort of drivers you're looking for to do well, Dormin? Like maybe someone near the top, like Sonny, or any of the Ferrari drivers, like Glenn or Gaben?
Well, I'm not too well knowledged in VL drivers. However, I always seem to see Travis near the top of the time trial times, so expecting a lot from him. And if I remember correctly, Gaben won his first race back in Zandvoort, so expecting a lot from him. The only, I guess, prediction I can make right now is that I expect a lot of people to spin in qualifying.
Yeah, we certainly did see it in Zandvoort. It's easy to spin on the exit of a lot of those curbs, as Dormin brought up. Braking, entering turns is one thing. You've also got to get traction on the way out, and we saw a few spins in practice on the first 2 chicanes, on the Lesmos, and for the Mercedes squad, pretty much everywhere on the Ascari complex. So there's 3 tight turns. It's going to get very spicy up in there. We'll be taking you to the race shortly, but first we'll be showing you this. Benvenuti a Monza, ragazzi. Welcome to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the venue of tonight's Grand Prix, round 7 of VL F1 Season 5, our 92nd race in total. This is the Temple of Speed, clear skies above, blue skies, warm temperatures for the tyres of our drivers. Here we see 27 laps will be raced at this venue. There'll be 11 turns, 2 DRS straights. The likely strategy will be a 1-stop if it remains dry. We're hopefully going to be having a dry qualifying, and we'll see what happens later on in the race. First turn's going to be a right into a sharp left. It's a dangerous first chicane at very slow speed. It's a clockwise track. P1 is going to start on the left side, so P1 and 2 are going to have a frantic battle into lap 1. And we've got a high chance of a safety car. And as Dorman said, we might be seeing a lot of spins as we get into our qualifying. Okay, Dorman, we can see our drivers lined up here. Navor's there in Haas. Any last-minute jitters for him? Have you spoken to him before the race?
We spoke. We did quite a bit of practice together, and I think he will be employing exactly the same strategy as he did last time of finish the race is the priority.
Well said. There's we're just getting the stream sorted. We'll be seeing our drivers go into outlaps. as we appear to be a couple minutes into the qualifying session. So for those who are unaware how qualifying works, Q1 whittles the field down to our top 15, Q2 takes it down to a final 10, and Q3 sees them battle. Wherever you classify in the 3-stage qualifying session is the place you will start on the grid for the upcoming race. So in Q1, our top 15 will go into Q2. We've actually had an early disqualification from Shadowhopper. I'm not sure where his car is at the moment, but it's not a blocking of the pit lane. Hopefully we'll get some confirmation later on from the race director. But yeah, that's got to be horrible for Shadowhopper. Didn't look like he even went out of the box.
I believe I had a Steam notification that he was opening the game. So clearly he went out on track and had some sort of issue, as I believe that's not uncommon for him to have had. So he's been codized.
Yeah, well said. We've had a lot of things codized this season. We can see Shadowhopper joining at the bottom, but he made the critical mistake of reloading the game of Formula 1, and he's been taken out for it. Yellow flags already appearing on all 3 of our sectors, as our drivers just get used to a bit of the traction around. Scott already going into the pits. We've got some slow speeds going up to the opening chicane. And yeah, just an overall hodgepodge, which is something that I can say now that our driver in the Ferrari team isn't here. Okay, we've got 121.3s already on the board. If we take a quick look at one of our drivers, in fact, if we got our production to stay on this horse, it's Icarus. As he comes through the start line, Dormin, take us through what's happening on this track. Take us through a lap.
Down into turn 1, hopefully doesn't get blocked by any traffic. Braking around the 100-meter board on the left, making sure not to take too much curb. Missed the apex slightly, but a very nice second apex on turn 2. And now we got a long run through the Curva Grande all the way up to the second chicane. 2 lines are, I guess, commonly used, either sticking tight to the inside or running a bit wide, as more common in real life. Braking just after 100 meters, no one is taking too early of an apex or you'd get launched into space. Avoiding the sausage curb and inside for turn 6. First Lesmo, quite long, likely to understeer through here, but not using too much exit curb. Excellently done. And now quite a lot of curb taken on the apex and a long run into the DRS. Nice toe being taken off for Gavin as he runs towards the Ascari. Braking at about the 80-meter board here and not taking too much curb to invalidate, keeping it nice and tight right and avoiding this inside curb. Nicely done, lifting a bit to avoid, because if you touch that inside curb, you will go around. All the way down to the Parabolica final turn, braking at about the 50-meter board over white line on the ground, taking an early apex, going a bit wide here, which is quite common, very easy to do, and then carrying as much speed without going too wide and invalidating all the way to the line, and Icarus will set a 122 flat.
Yeah, very respectable time there. Already we're seeing sub 121s on the board. The fastest time from our official practice session was Travis's 120.5. We've got a few drivers, your boy Dormin included, who've set as low as 120.3 on time trial. Travis is the king there as well, with nearly a 120 flat. So there's room for improvement from these drivers. This is only Q1. While we've got the soft tyres on, which are the fastest compound, it's important to note that they'll be setting banker laps. Some might even be getting used to the track if they had commitments earlier in the day. And with not as much at stake earlier on in this qualifying complex, they just want to get consistent times, make sure they don't spin or retire their cars, and just get as fast a time as possible. Navor on the board, 123.3, and Gaben looks like he's had a Renault track walk on his way into P12.
Yeah, 123.3 from my good friend Navor. I believe he definitely has potential for a high 121s, but he's definitely going to be needing to improve if he has any chance of getting into Q2. Do we have any sort of rough ideas to the cutoff time?
Yeah, it's really tough to say. I think one of the things that's making me so hesitant is we didn't actually have a cutoff last time we ran it. There were only 14 drivers, so everyone automatically got through to Q1. However, last time we ran Monza, the fastest times in qualifying were low 119s, and in qualifying 3, Flyer set a high 118. So in general, I think that the ceiling has fallen a bit from F1 2020 into the 2021 version. With that said, I still think we'll be seeing about 122, maybe a high 121 as our cutoff here.
I think anyone in the 120s will be safe. I don't expect Sunny or Somther to be out. Again, they might just sit in the pits. 120.7 and 120.8. We'll see them very nicely through. Yeah, I could see anyone on a 121 going through, but I think someone like Blaze sitting on a 120.6 could be nervous towards the end of the session.
Right, yeah. So we've got Charmander retiring in the pits. Normally, whenever you look for a retired driver this early on in a qualifying session, you fear the worst. You think they've retired and gone into a wall. But yeah, Charmander is sitting on his laurels there. He's seen 121.5. He must have had a quick chat with his Red Bull team, and he said, yep, that's enough for me. He thinks he can finish comfortably in the top 15, despite not attempting a lap in the final 9 minutes. With that said, there's something to back Charmander's decision-making. We have 5 drivers who have yet to set a time with 9 minutes to go. And of course, Shadowhopper has had a really bad time with Cody's, but he's done everyone a favour because one of the 5 spots that will be eliminated is already taken up by Shadowhopper. So slowest 4 drivers rather than 5 leave at this stage. Okay, we've got Trav on the outlap, so we'll give him a minute before we see him go. We've still got Law coming round. He's on a timed lap at the moment. Not sure where he is at the moment, but he is coming across the finish line. It's a valid lap, and it's a 123.6, so right at the bottom of the timing stack. That won't be enough, so he's going to go again.
I think quite critically, viewing his telemetry, he probably does not have enough battery for a second run. He crossed the line with about 35% charge, and so unless this is his 3rd lap, he probably won't have enough charge to go the whole way, so he may be relying on the recharge along the lap.
Yeah, that's one of the dangers. You've got the ERS system, so it's the battery in your car. You can only deploy a certain amount on one lap, but you also have an overall deployment limit. So if you don't have, I'll say about 30-40%, it's unlikely that you're going to have the juice to be able to get a maximum potential time all the way through a lap. Yeah, Sunny Somther still leading this Q1 with 8 minutes to go. Top 15 go through, bottom 4, along with Shadowhopper, the victim of the Codemaster's curse, will exit at this point.
It looks as though he has invalidated his lap, though, as I was continuing to watch, so it does not look like his lack of ERS will matter.
Yeah, let's have a look at Trav. Speaking of ERS, he's on about 70% at the moment, so he's going to burn his way through this lap. Use his deployment where possible on getting out of those corners, using it on the exits, giving himself the maximum possible acceleration. We see him go around the first Lesmo, take a really solid exit, using as much of the curb as possible, but not destabilizing his car, going into that DRS on the way to Ascari. I expect him to position his car as close to the right-hand wall of the track as possible, and it's all about switching between steering left and right at the appropriate times, and that's a really nice Ascari if I do say so myself. Trav's known for coming out late in Q1, so he spends his first few minutes in the pits, looking at setups, looking at other drivers, waiting for the track to clear up a bit. We see him come around Parabolica now. The final long curve of Monza stays on the track, it's still valid, and we'll see where that puts him. I expect it will be very high up, and there it is. He can go no higher, 120.6. Great news from Trav.
Yeah, he had a lovely Ascari right on point, making sure he took up as much of the track as he could without putting himself at risk of a spin. Did understeer a bit on the entry to Parabolica, so there's at least a 10th, if not 2, left on the table. But yeah, solid lap. He will easily pit now and be through.
Yeah, Red Bull have got to be really settled on this one. Let's take a look at our hometown hero, Pyrophire. So Sandro or Pyro is Italian. He's loving this track. He's had some pretty good results as well. Most people would call him about a midfield driver. So he's got pace on some tracks, he's got good strategy on some tracks. Most people wouldn't call him to finish top 5 on any given weekend, except this one and maybe Imola, because Pyro has shown blistering pace in practice. Last season, I think he was 2nd, 3rd and 5th in the 3 qualifying stages, but he had a really difficult time getting around the last few laps of the race, and he laments the fact that he only finished 10th with 1 point. So Pyro hopefully is going to be bringing a redemption arc to his story, as he's hurtling his way around the track now. Coming towards Ascari, the name of his countryman, multiple F1 world champion back in, I believe, the 50s. Go ask Sebastian Vettel. He's kept it very valid, and coming out of turn 10, as Dorwin pointed out earlier, the exit to Ascari, getting the most traction possible, going up above 300 kilometers per hour, and just got to set himself towards the inside of Parabolica for the mathematically perfect position. I don't think that's perfect, but I think it's pretty good, because all he needs right now is a good enough time. 122.3 puts him 15th. That's not good enough for a lower Italian.
He seemed to struggle. He had quite a step of oversteer coming out of turn 5 and 6, and he understeered his way through several corners there. So maybe not the ideal lap, but it seems like he's going for a second. Hopefully can improve.
Sorry to interrupt, Dormin. It looks like Rowan's retired, and I think it's on the exit of Ascari. We might be able to catch on the way through past Envy. And we're going to see the next driver. I think it's an Alpine, the Alpine of Monty. And we're going to have a look on stream now. It looks like Rowan's car has disappeared. So it must have been a bit of an issue on the exit of turn 9. And he sent his car right into the right-hand wall, instantly retiring his vehicle. Just an example of how dangerous the Monza track can be.
Yeah, it seems as though he's spun it somewhere at Alpine. I will do my best to work out what's happened there through Discord messaging. But no surprises that we've had already a spin and another DNF.
So the good news for the other drivers is that Navo's time wasn't too competitive. He managed to do 123.3, which is unlikely to have been one of the top 15 times anyway. In fact, it was already 17th at the point of crashing. So all Monty and Law, Nergard is Law on the timing stack, all they need to do is beat that time and then make sure they're in the top 15. Navo is not going to take a potential Q2 spot away from anyone. Yeah,
Law is up 1.5 seconds on his previous best, so doing much better this time around.
Yeah, once you've got past Ascari, hopefully I don't put a curse on Law here, but he's done a lot of the technical corners. He needs to do what Pyro didn't and just get a really nice curve around the Parabolica final corner. Hopefully that'll stand him in good stead. 1.5 increase would see him get into P13, P14. Has he kept the momentum? Has he got the ERS? He has. He's into P12. Well played, Law. And he's within sight of the positions above him, to be honest. Yeah, 2 minutes to go. Law probably has one more attempt if he stays out on the track. Everyone in the pits is going to have to try one more time.
So, some info regarding Narwhal's crash. It seems as though he took too much of the inside curb of turn 9, so the right-hander part of Ascari. And if you do take too much curb of that, I don't know what curb I will call it, what the name of that curb, but it will easily spin you, and he's a fallen victim to it.
Yeah, I don't know the name of the curb either, Dorman, but I think Navo will have a look at the name of that curb and it'll be in his nightmares from now on. Yeah, it's not been kind to him, but he's going to have another chance in the race. Slow and Steady will hopefully get him more points in that one. Icarus coming back into the pits. We've got Carlos coming through. He's going to stay on a 122.2 at the moment. We now get into a nice little bit of crunch time, because with only 1 minute 20 to go, and that being the lap time, all of our drivers in the pits can't really come out and set another lap. So it's down to our drivers still on the track. So we've got Law, Scott, Envy, Carlos, Crispy, and it seems Monty is still in the pits, which means he's going to exit at the Q1 stage. It's down to 5 drivers for 2 spots.
Interestingly enough, we have the regular problems with Codemasters because I still have 1 minute 25 on my clock. So, yeah, one of us is correct.
Okay, with an unknown amount of time remaining, as Monty leaves the session, further confirming that he won't be improving his time. We've got Scott, we've got Crispy, we've got Envy, and we've got Carlos on the track. We've got a quick look at Scott at the moment, 120 as he comes down towards the finish line. Improving by a 10th. It takes him above Icarus. And it's going to be quite some gap to Law, but I think Scott's going to have another go. Hopefully in the...
he's spun it round. Yep, took too much curb, and the rear does not like that. That seems as though Scotty's last lap will not be good enough, unless he doesn't get knocked up.
Yeah, unlucky. We've got the finishing, we've got the checkered flags on the timing stack. Carlos going through 121.9. I think that suggests that the drivers with the checkered flags have completed Q1. So at the moment, Envy is in the danger zone. He's coming down towards Parabolica. He's got a 10th of improvement in his timing telemetry. We'll see if he can improve. Scott is the target to beat. If he can beat Scott, then he'll be in P15. Scott's still on track, of course. We'll see what Envy can post. It's a 121.8, getting him into P14 and provisionally into Q2. Scott is in P16. It is between Scott and Carlos for that final spot. Let's see if we can get on board with that McLaren. Let's see if he's up or down.
Scott spun on his lap, so Scott is 6 seconds down and will not have a competitive enough lap. So I believe those are our 5 that are out.
Well said, Dorman. I was getting caught up in the hype for Scott and I'd forgot all about the Spinola down at that first chicane. He will not be able to improve, as you say. And that means that Scott, Icarus, Navor, Monty, and the unluckiest of Shadow Hoppers will be exiting at this Q1 stage, taking us into the final 15 for Q2.
So, some more additional info. It seems the Null had floor damage, which is not surprising. And although Shadow may have had quite a lot of bad luck with the game, he may be in a decent position, actually, because turn 1 in the race is not particularly easy to navigate. And if you try going 3 wide, we will likely see a safety car and many wings being replaced. So by starting at the back, he may have a great chance by just avoiding all the chaos and staying alive, in other words.
Yeah, the BG's had the right strategy all along. He might just be able to chill and get through the course. Of course, you don't want to sit back there for a minute, but it's so easy on turn 1 of Monza to get caught up, as you say, go 3 wide. And we saw it between Hamilton and Verstappen. We've seen it in VLF1. It's so easy to do. Confirmation on stream. So Trav taking the first position in Q1. It doesn't mean much at this point. It's not pole position. It doesn't get him into the front row of the grid. It just gets him through to Q2. But it is a message to his rivals on track that he's come in for the top times. We saw that most drivers use soft tyres, but actually Crispy went on the mediums there. I think he might have inted with that, or maybe he's just gone on the wrong set of tyres. But yeah, it's an interesting one, Dorman, because most of the time the tyre strategy is used for Q2. That's when you use the mediums, not Q1.
Well, that's if you want to be starting on the mediums. However, I think Crispy is trying to do a big brain play, and he's gone out of mediums to save himself an additional set of softs, anticipating a Q3 appearance. It gives him 4 sets, so he can do 2 soft runs in Q2 and 2 soft runs in Q3, which no one else will be able to do because they've all used a set in Q1, assuming they make it to Q3. Another note on the Alpine, I think the phrase they will be using, finishing 19th and 20th, is El Plan.
Yeah, well said. Fernando Alonso looking on in bewilderment there. Monty and Hopper, yeah, they can put on the hard tyres. We're not sure at this point whether it will make a difference because of the weather and because of soft medium being a viable strategy. But they've got a lot of time to ruminate. There's an Alpine meeting room, and they've got a full 27 minutes to watch on and think of a good plan. Yeah, we've got Q2 coming to you live, so we're back out to the comms box and onto the track. Let's take a look. So with both Haas's and both Alpines out, we're still seeing a lot of the teams with full complements of drivers. In fact, and this is something I'd like to talk about in Q2, Donan, all 3 project teams, so Project Mercedes with Merck and Williams, Project Ferrari with Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, and Project Red Bull with Red Bull and Alfa Tauri, are going to have 4 drivers in Q2. And this sets up the tow. Are we going to be seeing much of it in Q2, do you think, Dorman? Are we going to be seeing the drivers towing each other?
I mean, it's so powerful around here. I think anyone who might be on the cusp or not particularly confident, the likes, unlike the likes of Travesty and maybe Charmander, I think they might give it a go. But I think the likes of Travesty doesn't necessarily need it, as he does have the raw pace. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it's coordinated, how it's shared, if what's given is also taken. And I'm also really surprised to see that all but 2 on mediums.
I wonder. So maybe they want to start the race on mediums. For those who are unaware, the reason we're talking about tyre strategy now is because if you're in the top 10 in Q2, the tyre compound on which you set your fastest lap is the same tyre compound on which you start the race. So it's important to get as fast as you can for qualifying purposes, but also if you can set them on a slower tyre compound, it might be a strategy advantage. But yeah, Dorman, as you said, Crispy might have big-brained onto the softs. A lot of our field are just defaulting to a normal weekend, and they're going for the slower tyre compound. Is that a good move? Is starting on the mediums a better strategy here?
I mean, the strategy here for a 50% race actually seems quite dull, with a very simple soft and medium one stop. So it seems as though it's either lap, say, 11, the game suggests the most optimal if you go soft to medium, or I believe it'll be lap 15 or 16 for mediums to soft. So I don't think there'll be any outright advantage in terms of you get to one stop rather than two stop. But maybe they anticipate multiple safety cars, and the flexibility of the medium tire being able to go longer is something they all want.
Well said, Dorman. And yeah, we've talked about the risk of the safety car being high. We've had safety cars. I don't know if it's every time we've run Monza, but it's at least 2 or 3 of our 4 races. So going on the hard tyres and asking for an incident-free first half of the race is a very big gamble. I salute and respect anyone in our bottom 10 on the grid who will make that gamble, but it's looking more unlikely. Charmander just getting past Crispy there. As we start seeing the flying laps come out in earnest, first few times going to come around. And we've got, I believe, it's the Alpha Tauris coming towards Parabolica.
Yeah,
Law will
the first time.
Chasing the other Alpha Tauri. It might actually be Miffy coming around there, but he's on the
he's
out
getting
lap.
a nice slipstream.
Yeah, this is Law's toe. He's clearing the way. He's first on the Danish longboat, and there it is. It is I can't quite make out that time. 122.8. So it could be faster, but medium compound.
Oh, and Blaze goes slower. Clearly, the toe made a lot of difference and gave him those few hundredths he needed to be ahead of Envy and Blaze, as Charmander beats them both.
Yeah, the times are so close between anyone who's not named Charmander at the moment. That's a really good time by him. But then Gaben, who's last week's race winner, moves up to the senior team, finishes a 1-2 with his junior teammate Maka, and that's not going to stay there for long, especially not with Travis yet to come out, still in the pit. Somtha within 200ths of the lead at the moment, 121.9 is respectable. That's probably in the very good section of times for the medium compound. The gap between soft and medium is normally 1 to 1.5 seconds, so that's equivalent to a mid to low 120, which is always something you can salute around Monza on the soft tyres. Glenn coming up to the line now, he's going to set a time, but just after Sonny, who's got a 121.8 on the board, Glenn's going to look like a bit of a muppet there, half a second down.
I think a 121.8 as the fastest lap is a decent lap time by Sonny. However, I will expect that to be beaten, as if we go by Travis's time of, what did he have, a 120.6? Then we should expect him in the mid to low. We should expect Travis, although Travis is on soft again, so he may just be way ahead of the pack as Charmander goes fastest.
Yeah, Crispy's got his mediums ready, but those are worn mediums from Q1, as we've seen. Carlos was on softs, and he still is. Trav now changed his selection to mediums, so we'll be able to confirm that a bit more when he comes out of the box. It looks like most of our drivers, if not everyone, is going to go for an initial medium run. Somtha blows up Charmander's improved time with a 121.7. So nice to see those 2 lap stints coming out, saving the ERS for 2 hot laps in a row. And yeah, both of them managing to use the experience of the track to their advantage. 121.7. It's getting more impressive as we look further, Dorman.
2 laps might explain the medium tyres, because obviously they have to start on these tyres as Sonny goes fastest. The tyres that they qualify on the session are the tyres they have to start on, and they may prefer to do 2 laps for performance reasons, as they may not get a consistent enough 1 lap. So they may be doing these laps on the mediums to reduce how much tyre wear they start the race on, as the softs would wear much quicker.
Yeah, you could always try and do 1 lap, but you want to give yourself the best chance of qualifying. Tyre strategy is good to look at, but right now it's an afterthought, as these drivers just want to get the fastest possible times on the slowest possible compounds to get them through. And Sonny has the fastest time, but I should state that it's blown all the other times out of the water. Gaben, Charmander, Miffy, Somtha's best times are within 0.2 of each other. Sonny clears the field by almost half a second, and I feel it's going to take our boy in the lead of the World Drivers' Championship, Trav, to beat it. Maka comes up, and he's improved by 0.2. He now stands at a 122.0. It's pretty fast, but it's not in the league of those top drivers at the moment.
Looks as though Travis D's coming around the Parabolica, about to start his lap. Let's see if he can top Sonny's time.
Okay, if possible, I'd like to stay on Travis here because, well, I have the feeling he could come up with something good. This is a classic commentator's curse moment. He's got a nice little gap ahead of him, about 10 seconds to that McLaren. The McLaren of Pyro, who's yet to set a lap as well. We'll see if Trav can get a good exit here. He doesn't take the curb, but in his head he doesn't need to. He's going to go round Curva Grande here. He's got to get a consistent line. At this point, the stakes are a bit higher. He's going to need a bit of a faster time than he needed in Q1. Purple Sector 1, that's impressive, particularly when you consider Sonny's blazing fast time on the mediums. Trav is on course to beat it at this point, but there's a few more technical challenges on the way. Takes the curb around the exit of Lesmo 1 and the 6th gear as Charmander retires in the pits. Doing the same on the second Lesmo, again, gear 6. A lot of drivers will gear down to 5th gear at that point, but Trav is going for the Maverick option as he comes up to Ascari Complex. Really close line on turn 8 there, but he's managed to navigate that really well, and that's a really fast exit. So important because of the amount of straight track ahead of him as he leaves that complex. He's got Parabolica ahead of him, and it's going to be a really good time here. We don't know whether it will be better than Sonny yet, but the proof is in the pudding. I don't think he had the fastest Sector 2, but let's see what happens when the lap comes together. He's going to have the fastest lap overall, 121.0. Great lap from Travis.
I think it shows how fast Travesty is with how clean and tidy that was. It definitely felt as though he maybe could have been more aggressive, but he clearly doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to take that risk because even with a relatively tidy lap that wasn't maybe 100% push, he can still put it in P1.
Well said, yeah. There were a few points watching that where I thought maybe he could take a bit more of the curb or maybe he could move a bit more. But it's very zen. In pushing 100%, you leave yourself open to make those mistakes. And what Trav didn't do was he didn't compromise his exits. He kept his car moving quickly when he needed to. He didn't make any sudden jerky movements. He kept his car moving very cleanly through the course. As I said a few seasons ago, I guess he has good mechanics. And yeah, 121.0 on the medium tyre. That would have beaten so many of our soft runners. That would have put him P3 in Q1, and everyone was using softs. So I think he had a similar lead in Zandvoort when it came to time trial. It just shows how good Trav is at the game right now. He's just putting really fast times down. And the thing is as well, Domin, it looks like he's very consistent in doing so. He was fastest in practice in Q1, and again, he's favourite in Q2.
He is not having a good time as he aborts his lap. Plainly something with those medium tyres are just not working for him as he goes back into the pits and swaps under the soft by the looks of it.
Meanwhile, Charmander really must be enjoying his Sunday roast at the moment. He left Q1 early, and after getting a fairly good lap in Q2, he's left with about 7-8 minutes to go chow down a bit more. I kind of like the amount of alpha male energy that's radiating from him. He's like, I've set a time, yep, it's good enough, have fun beating me, guys, and just walks back to his garage for a bit. I love it. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the table, more than 1.3 seconds adrift from Trav, we've got our bottom 5. At the moment, that is Blaze, Carlos, Crispy, Law, and Envy. So 3 Project Merc drivers, 1 Alpha Tauri, and 1 Aston Martin in the drop zone at the moment. With 4 minutes to go, they've got to start looking at getting on the fastest possible compound, which is the soft tyre compound, and setting a lap that will break them into the top 10.
Right, only 2 or 3 on track so far, and I believe that is Pyro, Law, and Envy, who's on his out lap, whereas Pyro's just finished his lap. That puts him P3 as we watch Law take the first chicane.
Yeah, well played, Pyro.
Law keeping nice and tight through the Curva Grande, not drifting too out wide, and brakes on just after the 100-meter board as expected. Doesn't take too much curb, does get a kick of oversteer, and runs under the gravel, and yet that lap won't be it. He's going to back out of that one, maybe go for another one if he has the time. Yellow flag is currently from Pyro, so can't quite see how long. He does have 3 minutes left, so plenty of time, assuming he has the fuel for it, because I don't believe he has enough time to get in the pits and get out, maybe if he's quick with it, but can't be sure.
Yeah, Law's recovered his ERS. He's got enough ERS in the tank. He's going to have the fuel for another lap, unlike Pyro at the moment, by the way, with that red blinking light. I expect Law to have another go at this, and Law's probably the one that's going to be sweating a bit more. He's currently 122.7 looking at the timing stack. Crispy is on his outlap, so he's emerging. Blaze doing the same with 2 minutes 40 to go. It's high stakes for these drivers. Even the Project Ferrari drivers who are in P7 down to 10, they're in a nice little sandwich. They are going to need to get their skates on because any of the drivers from below that beat them will force them into the danger zone in their stead. So, yeah, only really Red Bull that are looking pretty at the moment.
Poppy has gone from having little fuel to no fuel, bringing out some yellow flags as he makes his way to the pits very slowly.
You'll love to see it. You know what? If you offered him that trade offer at the start of the lap, you get P3, you lose all your fuel, then you know what? We take those, especially on the medium tyres.
I think everyone would take that.
Okay, we've got a couple of drivers coming up to the start of their timing lap. Let's take a look at Blaze. So he's in the senior team for Mercedes. I want to see if we can have a few recent entries shown. Blaze actually crashed out in Q2 in Zandvoort. He finished in 12th place and then managed to race his way up to P7. So Blaze just needs to make himself count on qualifying as well. Currently P11, he had a couple of fairly quick laps when it came to the practice session. As Dorman pointed out, it can be very inconsistent. When you go around Monza, you can have a few fast laps, a few slow laps. But Blaze's time has come. He needs to put out something quick now. He's going up to the first Lesmo and keeps it fairly tight. Nice exit. Bit of curb, but that's what you want for the optimal time. And with a bit of recovery at the end of the second Lesmo, he's done pretty well there. So let's keep watching him and see. There's 1 minute left. Either this lap or the next will need to count. Ascari is the kicker.
8 tenths up on his time, which would be enough to get him in the top 10, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 soft runners on track right now.
Yeah, 1 corner to go for Blaze. 122.4 his current time. He's on course to beat it. Just needs to not invalidate here, and he's looking pretty good. He's got the right angle. He's got his accelerator all the way down, using all the deployment, and gets through with the fastest lap of the session. We were looking for a good lap, and we weren't expecting that 120.9. To temper those expectations a bit, he's only just beaten the best medium runners, but it's really important for him that he's escaped that drop zone and put himself on the map. Crispy also getting P4 on the soft tyres, so I'm expecting the timing stack to get shaken up a bit with these drivers that are coming to the finish.
Blood Beat is 7 tenths slower than his previous best. Maybe he's going for 2 laps because that one wasn't enough to get him through.
Glenn, I think, coming up to the line. In fact, it was Gaben who's just starting a hot lap as we see the timer go to 0. So this is where we see who's through and who isn't. Charmander retired, but he's now looking in a bit of danger if enough drivers can beat his time. We've got all 4 Project Ferrari drivers between P9 and P12, so we might see a bit of friendly fire as Maka comes through to the timing line. He's going to go with 120.9, taking Blaze's position at the top. He'll be safe for now. Yep, Carlos is going to go into P7. It's a good position. It's not certainly safe.
Improves by 8 tenths.
Envy is going to finish his lap. He didn't improve, so he's out at this point. Charmander in a really dangerous position now. 1 more beats him, and he's out into, well, watching Q3. Blaze has aborted his final lap, but he's in P2 at the moment. He's looking fairly safe. We've got Williams coming closer.
Up 3 tenths. Law's up 3 tenths, as I believe he's the next to cross the line.
Yeah, Williams goes into the pits here. Law needs all the time he can get. He needs to improve by a good 0.8 of a second, and it wasn't enough for him. A Merc will follow him across the line, and Somethers into the pits instead. He's had enough for now. Gaben and Franklin are in P12 and P13. Charmander is out of this at this point. He quit too early, and Gaben is going to go into the pits, being also eliminated in Q2.
Oh, Mr. I'm going to retire early may regret his decision, as by under half a tenth, he gets knocked out of Q2 on those medium tyres. May he rue that decision. We will have to see.
Yeah, if the Sunday roast wasn't enough for Charmander, he's also going to get roasted on chat in front of all of the VL F1 audience. Yeah, P11 not looking too good. He may consider the hard tyre strategy, but maybe in future races he'll consider the actually being there for qualifying strategy. We'll have a quick look at the tyres that are there. So we'll see whose strategy's paid off. Trav, Sunny, Pyro, Somtha, and Miffy got into the top 10 on the medium tyres, so they'll start the race there. Maka, Blaze, Glenn, Crispy, and Carlos, that's 3 Project Merc drivers in there, had to use the soft tyre, so they will still be in the top 10, but they'll start the race on softs. A nice variance, 5 each way.
In the decision to go for more laps on softs, Gabon only went for 1 lap. Blood to Bleed went for 5 laps on the mediums. And having had a look at the strategy, from what I am aware, I also am not aware if it's meant to rain, so I can't say about that. But if it is just dry, I don't really see the benefit of trying to qualify on a medium tire if you aren't able to make it through, as it does seem like a just plain and simple one-stop.
Yeah, there's no point putting excess wear onto any of your compounds, particularly if you want to use that for the upcoming race. It's at this point that I start looking at the penalties, because we have a super licensing system. It didn't work as intended last week because we put the penalties in only for Cody's to throw them out. But if all goes ahead, then Blaze, Law, Maka, Miffy, and Icarus will be taking up to 3 penalties on 3 grid places as penalties. Scott, on the other hand, has fallen foul of every super license rulebook decision in the history of VL. And even though he's only available to race this week, he still has to serve 18 grid penalties. So it's pretty safe to say Scott will be at the back, especially given he crashed out already.
My man Scott is speedrunning the VL licensing thing, because 18 grid place penalties is quite a lot.
Yeah, he's going to get rid of 4 of them today. He was in P16 at the end of Q1. That's going to drop him to P20, dead last, and even behind Shadow Hopper, who's busy writing a mail to Barry BL. We get to see the end results of Q2. So going into the showdown will be the following drivers. We'll have Blaze and Somtha, both senior Mercs. Crispy and Carlos, both junior Mercs. We love that. We've got Trav and not Charmander Nerd. Both Alpha Tauri drivers. Miffy just about made it in, so Trav and Miffy from Red Bull. We have Glenn and Maka, 2 surviving drivers from Project Ferrari. Sunny from Aston Martin. Pyro, Homeboy from McLaren. And I think that's it. So we've got a nice little representation there. Unfortunately, Charmander, Gaben, Blood to Bleed or Franklin, Nurgard or Law, and Envy can't make it into Q3. Dorman, this is the showdown. We're going to be seeing only soft tyres. Everyone setting the fastest possible time. Everyone using minimum fuel, hopefully minimum tyre wear, and all the battery they can. What are we expecting here? Do you think we'll see another Travis powerhouse performance?
Yeah, I think Travis has to be the favourite. He was basically same sector times as the fastest runner on even though he was on a harder compounded tyre, so very impressive work from him. I was surprised we did not see any coordinated toes, because it's so effective here. And I would have thought that some of the teams that were not expecting to comfortably make it through to use some toes. Although saying that, I think Charmander expected to be comfortably through. So clearly Monza throwing up some surprises.
Yeah, either that or he had to go pet his dog for a couple of minutes. That isn't even a euphemism. I don't know why I've just said that. So yeah, in Q3, we've got 12 minutes. It is the showdown. You're right, Owen. I'm surprised we didn't see as many toes as maybe we should have done. We've got a couple of teams or projects with multiple drivers. The key one here is Merc. So I think because of the pitbox rules and the fact there are 4 drivers, a lot of eyes are going to be on what Mercedes do. With 4 drivers, you probably want to pick the 2 that have the best chance of getting the highest grid advancement that they can, and then set up the other 2 drivers in front of them. Then again, a lot of Q3 is going to be just what happens on track and how the drivers react to it. We'll be taking you on track now. So smooth transition from our production, and we're seeing the first drivers leave the box. We've actually got, if we can make that out, I believe that's Miffy and Trav. That's 2 Red Bull boys making it out. Trav getting the benefit of the toe at the moment. There's going to be amazing comms going through. And nope, Trav's going to head up first. He doesn't need the toe. He's fast enough as it is.
Yeah, we won't be getting as much of a fiesta as we did in real life, as I believe, I'm not sure if it was this year or last year, but we had a crawl of an outlap as everyone attempted to get behind the other for a nice slipstream. As yeah, Mithy does seem to be hovering quite close to Trav, so maybe Trav, puts on a bit more accelerator and makes use of his speed advantage to get out of the slipstream, or he decides he doesn't care and will just take his outlap as he pleases.
Trav's absolutely accelerating away from Miffy here, and he's on his outlap as well. He just wants to go, I'm afraid. And yeah, I think another thing the drivers can look at is their aerodynamic setup. Blaze, for example, had a 1-1 front and rear wing setup, which meant that his straight line speed was just phenomenal. And it meant that even when the driver behind him was being towed, he was still able to get a speed advantage on the driver he was towing. So I think we'll be taking that into account. As
okay, Travesty has dropped behind Miffy, so he's going to get a nice slipstream. However, is Travesty too close? Travesty being the fastest man on track, probably. He may just catch up to Miffy and then lose time because he doesn't have any time to gain. Although, clearly, I'm very wrong. Miffy just pulls out the way. Clearly a coordinated tow. That's what we were expecting.
Yeah, to be honest, that looked really cool. Trav just went all the way up to Miffy. It was the perfect distance, although Dom and I agree it looked too close on camera. Trav was able to get all his ERS out, able to get the DRS, just the slipstream advantage, and basically sacrificed one of his Alpha Tauri minions to make that happen. So yeah, fair play to that man. We've got two Mercs approaching the start line. We're going to get the same from them. So Somtha is the lead driver here. Blaze is way behind. If you look at the two tows we've had, the first one from Red Bull is how to execute it. The second one from Merc is, oh wait, is this meant to be a tow? Personified.
Well, I think that there might be a difference in strategy. I think the difference between the Alpha Tauri / Red Bull was that it was just for the main straight. As Miffy was so close to Travesty, he pulled out the way before the first chicane. Whereas it looks as though we're going to get a whole lap slipstream. Although saying that, Blaze goes very wide and it seems like he's going to abort his lap. So I think the Mercedes strategy was we're going to go for a whole lap slipstream, and therefore this sat a bit further back, although I still think this could have sat slightly closer together, as Travesty crosses the line with a 1:20.2.
1:20.2, fantastic. Let's bear in mind that the fastest time in Q1 was 1:20.6, so Trav's already beaten that by a country mile. He's got the benefit of the tow, but he's also got the benefit of being Trav, who knows how to drive a car very, very fast. Everyone here will be on soft tyres, so they're just using everything that they have left in their arsenal. Trav and Miffy able to execute the tow very well there. Blaze and Somtha, as you say, Dormin, favouring reliability and favouring both drivers getting times on the board rather than sacrificing one driver for another's perfect lap time. Maka on his own, he's going to get a 1:21.1. Blaze and Miffy way off the pace. Blaze due to a bit of a spinala. Miffy having sacrificed himself for the cause. Crispy getting in there as well, 1:21.1.
.7 puts Sunny in third. Quite big gaps. I'm quite surprised that Travesty has almost half a second to Somtha, and there's a further 3/10 behind Sunny and Maka. So I guess people need a couple more laps to really dial in and get back used to the softs.
To be honest, I'm not sure how much of that is toe diff, because we did see it executed, and we did see it executed very well. There was probably the perfect distance between Trav and Miffy, probably 3 car lengths at the start of the main straight, and then just short of 1 as Miffy veered off to the side and applied the brakes in advance of Trav taking the first chicane perfectly. Yeah, some of it's toe diff. It's very difficult to say how much, but I would imagine between 2 and 3/10 of that lead is the toe. I want to see the other drivers use that a bit more effectively. With Q3, especially with Monza being a medium short length track, you probably want the drivers to have one banked lap and then try and coordinate both drivers to come into the pits and leave at similar times to enable the tow for the later, higher stakes laps.
Glenn, who's kind of gone under our radar, sneaking through into both sessions without really much attention, puts himself in 4th place, a few hundredths ahead of Maka, but 3/10 behind Sunny. So, solid lap. P4 so far is good. but I'm sure that Pyro has more to give in P10.
Yeah, definitely. It's his home track. He's got a lot of speed. It's not just a one-track wonder. He was showing that speed in Season 3, Season 4. He loves the track. He really wanted to be part of the team for it. So whereas this lap has been a bit written off, he's got the energy. If he comes out again, he'll be able to set a really blistering lap. As it stands, he's going into the pits, which means that we'll be seeing Miffy and AlphaTauri probably follow him in there. It's probably the part of the session where our drivers are just sort of getting into the pits in preparation for a final hot lap stint. Already 7 drivers in there. Hopefully we don't see the thing that Domin was talking about where all the drivers bunch up and then impede each other as we go into the final 2 minutes. We just get to see a couple of drivers left on track. We've got a slow Merc through Ascari, probably due to fuel, and Trav just on an outlap at the moment, so he's going to start our final festivities.
Yeah, Trav is our only one on track that is actually racing as Blaze slowly trundles his way back to the pit lane with what seems to be no fuel, although unless telemetry is wrong, he is making his way around in 8th gear, so probably the telemetry is wrong. And that is why I've got a very unpleasant sound as we watch Travesty round the Parabolica and begin his lap.
Look how wide he was going as well. He wanted that perfect exit onto the straight. The straight line speed is so important here. When you don't have a Miffy to tow you, the best you can do is just take a really wide line and get just a really solid run up to that start of the lap. Really nice entry into turn 1, and that's a solid turning point for both of the corners in that first chicane. I really love the way Trav is taking this circuit, and I pointed it out earlier in qualifying. He takes it really smoothly and doesn't try and get the perfect entry. He doesn't make small adjustments. He just tries to get it really smooth all the way through both corners. Look at that exit out of the second chicane. I want to see him do the same with the Lesmos. He took both of them in 6th gear last time. He's dropping to 5th to get that extra acceleration out of the first Lesmo, and doing the same for the second Lesmo. That might be a tyre diff in terms of strategy, but Trav is still on course to do well here. Without spotting his delta till we get to the Sector 2 line, he's a 10th ahead. Going into Ascari, this is critical. This is the technical corner of the circuit. Look at that exit. It's the perfect amount. Half his car over to the side, but it's still valid. I think we could be seeing something really special here from Trav, and I'd be surprised if anyone on the track right now could beat it in the final 4 minutes. Trav going around Parabolica now. He's not going to take the same wide line he did on the entry to this lap. He's just going to get to the line and set a 120.006. Super close to breaking that.
Well, I mean, I was watching that and I thought, okay, he could have been a bit more aggressive with the curbs through turn 1 and 2. He had I believe, a bit of understeer through Parabolica, which kind of just shows that even though you look at it with a very under the magnifying glass and think, okay, he could have done these things better, still puts a 120 flat and almost breaks the 1 into the 119s.
Dormin, that was just so impressive. I actually had a look at the time trial times, just in case anyone didn't catch it earlier. Dormin's P4, shout out. But Trav is still leading that. Trav has the best time trial time with 120.067. Trav has just beaten everyone in time trial live in qualifying. What an amazing lap for him. He delivered when he needed to. And I'm already talking about it as if he's won qualifying and secured pole position, because I'm so convinced that no one will be able to beat that, if not Trav himself.
I think the impressive thing is the fact he probably has another 10th in there, just through, I guess, being a bit more aggressive through the curbs of turn 1 and 2, a bit of a better line through Parabolica, which really shows how consistent he is, that he makes those mistakes and still puts in a 120 flat as we watch Pyro round Ascari, and will probably set his first, maybe only competitive lap of the session.
He does have the ERS for 2 laps, but yeah, let's not count no chickens here.
Yeah, Pyro likes a nice tight line through Parabolica. Not maybe favoured by many drivers, but clearly enough to put him with a 120.9 and in P4. I recall you mentioning Blaze was running 1-1 wings. Is that true?
I think so. He did say as much, and he did really outperform Miffy Carlos in a tow earlier, despite the fact that Blaze was leading him out. So it certainly supports the wings. I think he just wants the straight line speed.
Maybe we should have a look at him on his outlap, as he's currently on his outlap, because if he's running 1-1 wings, I would be very surprised that he did. Maybe explains the oversteer and understeer he was getting earlier. But let's see how fast he can go in a straight line. I know Trav, I'm not sure what wings he's running and the rest of his setup, but he hits about 337 kilometers an hour. So we'll see what Blaze is able to hit down this straight with his apparent 1-1 wings, which, in my opinion, he's a madman, because I don't know how he keeps that car pointing in a straight line.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's possible, but yeah, 339, he just about hits it for a moment. He's got that speed, he was able to reach it very quickly. The danger, of course, is when you have fast straight line speed, you don't have traction in the corners. And the bits of Monza that aren't the straight lines are the corners. It sounds 5-head, but that just means we might be seeing risks of spinala as Blaze continues around his lap. He's going to go around the second chicane here. The entry point to that second turn wasn't what could have been. He's lost a bit of time there, but could still perform
just
well.
Very wide onto the gravel. Oh, and almost gets hit by the Red Bull of Travesty on his outlap.
Yeah.
I've also been told that Blaze is no longer on 1-1 wings. He swapped it just to see how fast he could go in a straight line. So, yeah, I think a sensible decision, because I think it's quite difficult to keep the car pointing in a straight line around Monza with the curbs, let alone if you're trying to do 1-1 wings. Sounds like I'd say fun challenge, except I probably wouldn't find it fun myself. So if you're crazy enough to do it, feel free.
Understandable, have a nice wing. To be honest, something knocked it off in practice. We've got the timer hitting 0, so anyone who's still on a timed lap can finish it. A lot of drivers like Pyro and Blaze here will just be limping around to the end here, as we see our drivers will line up for the final classifications. We have Pyro going slowly and invalid. I think we still have a Ferrari, the Ferrari of Glenn, going pretty quickly. However, he is 2/10 down at this point. Miffy with a nice little spin. Maka with a retirement. And we've got Pyro going slowly. There aren't too many potentially fast times out there. Crispy is herring it down the back straight. He's coming up to Parabolica.
Glenn hits.
Yeah, Glenn won't be doing too well on that one. Crispy is 1:14 at the moment. He's got a few seconds to cross the line, and he makes a really tight line here. Will it happen? 1:20.4. He knocks Homeboy Hero Pyro off, and Crispy's going to be at the start of that second row, assuming no heroics. In fact, there can be none from Miffy.
15,000s behind Sunny, so literally nothing in it, except for those 16,000s, and that is so easy to gain and lose around here. So Crispy with an excellent lap. I'm sure he's rubbing that slight bit of wheel spin or oversteer or understeer he got somewhere, because that could have meant a front row start for him. As I believe, is anyone else still on a hot lap? Travesty? Nope. Not him. No, not Travesty.
Okay, so that's going to be our final classification. Trav takes pole position. We said he was the favourite at the start of Q3. He was setting flying laps top the practice leaderboard, top Q1. If not for the tyre strategy conundrum, would have topped Q2. He was only a 10th or so off of the best times there that were being set on softs. So Trav is in a really good position here to do well. The danger is going into lap 1, turn 1 of Monza is going to be really difficult. Sunny, Crispy, Pyro are the 3 drivers that are immediately behind him. I think things could go well. They went well fairly unexpectedly in Zandvoort when everyone went around lap 1. But you just never know. Trav could be doing really well and suddenly get sent into a wall. That's the beauty of VLF1 in these sort of situations. Yep, everyone on soft tyres, so no tyre strategy in Q3.
So Travesty puts it on pole as expected by 0.4 of a second. What about the rest of the grid? Are there any surprises? I'm not too well informed of the rest of the talent and skill. Are we seeing familiar faces at the top along with Trav?
I'd say so, Dorman. So Trav, Sunny, Crispy, Somther, I'd expect them to be up there. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed that Gaben and Charmander weren't in the final showdown. I'd have put them as top 10 drivers, but the medium-soft tyre compound strategy did catch them out. Charmander AFKing a nice 9 minutes early. You'll love to see it. Yeah, I don't know where Shadow Hopper would have stacked because of the DQ. The other driver I think you mentioned racing with earlier was Envy. He's probably found his position about there in P14, but you never know. I think we said in our pre-show that it could change so much from qualifying to race. We've got rumours of light rain or at least heavy cloud cover for the first part of the race. Light rain maybe to come in the second half. It's one of those things where it could be a dry race and we could just be seeing exchanging of strategies, or we could see the rain critically impact the race, just like the real Drivers' Championship, with 5 or 6 laps to go and force some really interesting calls.
I believe Envy was a second up on his Delta before he invalidated his lap, which only would have put him up to P14, maybe P13 at best. But yeah, maybe a bit disappointing for him. I'm not too sure on the times we were expecting. We did expect a low 20s, maybe a high 19s for pole. But apart from that, I guess things went roughly as expected, except for maybe the dark horse of Charmander Nerd with an early exit.
Yeah, Charmander Nerd. He's a fast driver. He's a consistent driver. He just made the alpha move in qualifying, and it didn't quite pay off for him. So, memes aside, let's see how he gets back into that race. As with a lot of the drivers here, they might have to contend with some issues in turn 1. They're fairly common when we've run this race before. We saw it in real life where 2 drivers crashed each other out after one emerged from the pits, wink wink. And because of the fact it's a really low speed corner, a single error in braking point when all of the cars are bunched up together does mean a collision or some really evasive steering, which puts a car out of action. The good news is it's lap 1, so cars won't be able to build up the full 320, 330 kilometers of speed. The bad news is it's just a procession. Anything could happen as our drivers hurtle towards those first few corners. We are waiting for them to ready up, so making the final small adjustments to set up under Parc Fermé, selecting their tyre compound if they are able to by being in the bottom 10, and yeah, setting the tyre strategy for the race. We expect it to be a 1-stop. Domin, do we still think that's the case? Medium, soft 1?
Yeah, I think anyone who goes into the hards is either needs to pass the good stuff or is going for something very aggressive or knows something we do not. But as you mentioned, turn 1 might be chaotic because it's so sharp, because it's so narrow, and because it is such a hard braking zone.
So yeah, going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I think we'll expect to see a lot of medium runners. I'm not sure on the forecast we expect to see, but with the potential to rain, it does persuade more people to go onto a harder compound to potentially go longer and not need to pit as many times. So if it starts raining 70% of the race, a medium runner can go all the way to there and then swap onto the inters, whereas then somebody who's on the softs would have had to pit to mediums or hard already and therefore have to stop again. So interesting strategy. If it does rain, always spices up the race.
Okay, I'm going to take a short break before we go back to the race. Domin, while we're holding, just tell us about a few of the predictions you expect to happen. Who do you think is going to finish well, and how do you think the drivers you're involved with, Envy, Navor, Shadowhopper, how you think they'll get on?
Oh, well, unfortunately, I don't have a sheet of the qualifying time, so it's going to have to be from memory. Yeah, it looks as though Travesty is favourite to win. A good run from the start is key for him, as well as, I guess, managing his tyres and ensuring he keeps that track position. After that, I'm not obviously too knowledgeable on the drivers, so Shadowhopper starting in, I believe, P20, although he may be up a couple positions due to penalties. So definitely going to be interesting to see how far he gets up the grid. Me and him are both similar in speed, so I do expect him. I believe he is a regular top 10 appearer in Q3, so maybe we'll see if he can make his way up to the points and improve on last weekend's DNF, as he got taken out twice, I believe, by cars spinning in front of him. My good friend Nawar, well, he's starting at the back, doesn't have the greatest of pace as he's relatively new to the game and the F1 games. So yeah, maybe we can see him take it slow and steady as previously, and maybe he will score a point if there are another 10 DNFs. Envy starts in P15, maybe up a few spots from penalties, so we're going to have to see how he does from there.
Yeah, that's going to be the big enigma as far as the penalties are concerned. Yeah, we'll be bringing you the formation lap here. So we see Travis's Red Bull at the front. And we see the two unfortunate teams, Haas and Alpine, at the bottom of the stack. Unfortunately, they didn't do too well in Q1, or Cody's messed them about, either Shadowhopper. We've got a mixture of softs and mediums, no one going for the crazy hard tyre call. So Dormant Info must have got through to them early. And yeah, we've got a nice little field. Looks like we don't have super license pens going through by virtue of Scott not being dead last. So we'll worry about that a future time as we get that sorted. For now, let's just enjoy some racing as we see the formation lap underway.
Yeah, I mean, you know, got to warm up those tires, warm up those brakes, get them up to the nice temperatures. As someone who enjoys racing with cockpit view, it's always nice. I can always see my tire temps on the steering wheel. And so we can observe the leader currently as Travesty has, I believe, tire temps in the high 70s on the fronts and I believe low 80s on the rears. So he will be wanting to get those maybe slightly warmer, although I'm not sure how accurate those are through spec data.
Well said. And I think for the slower medium compound, it's more important to raise that temperature a few more degrees because the traction is so critical coming out of those corners, especially on lap 1. But yeah, that's what they'll be doing on their formation lap. Rule 1 is don't collide with anyone. Rule 2 is don't go off track. But yeah, rule 3, if you can, is just get those tyre temps warmed up. You've got a dry track, you've got room to weave, apply the brakes and get them warm as well. As Jeff says, there's a normal spiel about how he runs through normal operating ranges of temperatures with surface and carcass. We've got a couple of predicted pit stop strategies at the bottom, so anything ranging from medium soft one stop, as we talked about, medium hard, soft hard, and then there's a potential 2-stop option of soft soft medium. So for the medium soft strategy, we're expecting 11 or so laps of softs, and then 16 or so laps of mediums with a bit of variance either way, particularly for the constructors running both drivers on the same strategy.
I believe Law had a bit of a moment on that formation lap as he fell right to the back from his P14, already showcasing the spinala of this track and what it can do to you. As Travis did have quite a fast formation lap, Sonny was not quite able to keep up, or just preferred a slower formation lap himself.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the qualifying. Get ready for the race. All of our drivers are about to put everything on the line. This is what counts. This is what awards the points. And we'll be looking at the front half of the grid as the lights come on. They're getting ready. And here we go. The lights are out and away we go in Monza. Second Italian Grand Prix of the season. Travis already taking a lead, but we've got Crispy emerging on his right-hand side. He might actually get the initial braking point. Sonny just behind them as we go into turn 1. Too wide for a lot of our field. They're going very slowly and there's already one car off track as Crispy takes the lead from Travis after turn 1.
Yep, soft tyres doing a very good job for Crispy as he gets the jump and a superior acceleration out of turn 1-2 and makes his way in first place into the second chicane. It's Travesty having a bit of trouble and already a second away from Crispy. Let's see if he's able to keep up the rest of the race as Maka makes a move on Blaze.
Yeah, we've got a couple of gains there as Blaze was able to move up. Gaben was able to move up from his P12 in qualifying. Charmander and Glenn moving around. And we've actually got a retirement, Somtha, the Mercedes senior driver, as the VSC is pulled out on lap 1 of 27. Somtha in the left-hand wall after the second Lesmo, so either understeer or just general skidding or a collision, all are possible. We've got everyone slowing down to their deltas. Obviously, if you go over the delta for a consistent amount of time, you get penalised with a drive-through, so it takes a lot of the heat out of the racing for now.
Yeah, it seems Somtha was caught out. Suddenly we have several kilos of fuel. I believe it's about 52 kilos for a 50% race. He's on medium tyres, and after a very fast, I believe Somtha was in Q3 if I'm correct, with the soft tyres, yeah, the car just cannot take as much speed. Probably got too much exit curb, too much right pedal, and he just goes round in a circle as Charmander pits and goes too fast in the pit lane, as we have some surprising racing going on through turn 1 between Gaben and Blaze.
Yeah, Charmander making up for his lost time earlier by speeding too fast into the pit lane. Unfortunate. He's at the back, he's going to have to adjust. That 5 seconds, I believe, can be cancelled out at a later pit stop, so he'll have to hope for a safety car. As we've got a green flag, everything's back underway. We see Franklin make a nice move on Icarus. We'll see if he makes it stick around the second chicane. coming up to the Lesmos. I really like the line Franklin just took there. Hopefully, if we can get our production to just show the tyres that all of our drivers are coming through with, we'll be able to see the variances between compounds, and we'll see that Franklin, who is on the soft tyres, that's a big part of why he's able to get the speed difference on Icarus, who was on mediums.
Yeah, Charmander already stopping clearly with some either some damage or some big strategy ideas to help him make his way back up into the top 10 after starting in a disappointing 11th. As we watch, I believe, Envy go for a pass with a good slipstream on Icarus. Again, the soft tyres just providing better grip and traction out of Scary.
Yeah, well played, that man. DRS enabled for lap 3, not interrupted by the VSC proceedings. The main straight of Monza is going to see a lot of overtakes. It's where you get the DRS, it's where you get the fastest speeds, and you can use the slipstream as well. But then you've got the close braking braking zone into turn 1, as cars will try and avoid each other at that point. Apologies for a little bit of the lag that we show on the screen. We've got Scott chasing down Envy and Icarus in that little train. The front things seem to have spaced out a bit. Trav now 0.9 behind Crispy, and Sunny, Maka, Gaben, Blaze, and Pyro in that chain. Navor
already up to P15.
Yeah, that's a massive gain considering he started dead last. The one maybe we didn't call out on lap 1 because of all the chaos was Miffy. He qualified in P7, but he's currently in P19, so must have suffered a lot of misfortune. Maybe he was part of the incident that caused Somtha to Spinala.
Yeah, well, we can have a look and inspect. So let's see. Yeah, it seems as though he may have pitted, and yeah, so the incidents so far haven't actually involved Miffy. So maybe it just doesn't show. However, he did stop, and his stop time was 8.3 seconds. So he clearly had a change of wing needed. So he has been on both compounds so far, so he can go to the end if he would like. As we see Travesty going for the lead into turn 1.
That looked like contact there between Trav and Crispy as they went around the second corner, but maybe that was a trick of the camera angle. Yeah, Trav was closing on Crispy down the second half of lap 3. I expect to see a bit of train and a bit of DRS tennis being played between them. They're both very fast drivers. Trav does have the edge on pace, but Crispy isn't that far back. It's a long race to go for our drivers.
Well, Crispy will gain the DRS onto the next straight as they go around through the Lesmos, and maybe he has to go into Ascari. Maybe he will wait for the long straight and make his move into turn 1.
Yeah, he's certainly got the space to do that. The DRS is free if you can stay within a second of the car in front. A lot of the drivers are chained around Sector 2. We've then got Charmander and Miffy, who've both had to pit. Just at the back, trailing at the moment. Safety car is still fairly likely when you look at the rest of the race. It's worth saying the track is dry at the moment. There does look to be cloud cover. It's overcast, so a bit of colder tyre temperatures when you're trying to make those moves. And also, there's a higher risk of light rain later on. And that's a spin. We've just had it after Ascari. We've got Shadow Hopper spinning off to the side. He isn't retired. He's going to be able to recover, but that's going to be at least floor damage, maybe a wing on top.
Seems as though he didn't hit the wall, but that is another victim of the Ascari. Dangerous as always.
Meanwhile, Envy making the move on Icarus. I'm pretty sure we saw this 2 laps ago, but that's the nature of exchange of this track. The give and the take, the push and the pull. The Spinala and the Spignachangus. Icarus making a really nice corner around the turn 2, the second part of that chicane. As Charmander sets the fastest lap, he's almost certainly going to be on soft tyres at this point. And yeah, 122.8. Scott is very close to Carlos. He won't quite be able to make a move as they come towards the second chicane. And Carlos just about getting the better exit on the way out there. Still lots to go.
Yeah, crucially, Scott already has a 3-second penalty for corner cutting, so he will want to avoid more of those. It is quite easy to do so around certain corners if you brake too late and decide, I don't need to take this corner. And we see him now going for a move into Ascari and gets it done on Carlos.
Meanwhile, we've got Trav chasing Crispy down now. They've exchanged position twice already. Trav will have the DRS. He's expended most of his ERS battery, but he does have the Slippy, he does have the DRS. Maka will try and do similar on Sunny, but for now we're looking at the lead of the race. Trav will send it into the first chicane. Great braking point and does leave room on the other side of the track. So great racing between the two of them. Sunny passing Maka slightly further back will go into P3 for the moment.
Yeah, Crispy getting a nice slipstream on Travesty on the exit of the corner, but isn't quite able to get past. Similar with Maka. Slipstream, but not quite enough to get back past Sunny. So it might just be a wait until the next long straight. And yep, so far it's just going to be up and down between the two at the front.
Ooh, I'm just looking at the timing stack. Glenn did an overtake onto Blaze to go into P6. The gap did expand quickly, but has now sort of stabilised. So I want to see Glenn and Blaze get a bit closer, partly because I think it would be a close race between the two senior project captains, but also because these two have had a lot of on-track history, and it nearly always ends up with an acrimonious and controversial crash between the two of them, which ends up in Stewart's chat. So yeah, to have them within the DRS train of each other is even better. Crispy still in range of Trav, Maka in range of Sunny. It is a Hunter's Grand Prix at the moment.
Yeah, bit of weaving on the straight as Sunny tries to stay out of the slipstream. And yeah, Maka going for a move on to Sunny. Late braking. Ooh, almost contact. Not a lot of space left, but it does seem as though he will make the move stick.
Pretty sure his front tyre's touched.
Yeah, Sunny isn't done yet. Will he send it? He's a bit out of VRS though.
And you can tell these drivers are just so closely matched in terms of pace, the way they're able to just catch back up to each other. Whereas I think Trav probably has too much of a pace edge on any other driver in the field, that he's just trying to get that second gap out before they get to the next DRS zone. And Crispy's already 0.7 back.
I think quite crucially, between the top four, is that Sunny and Travesty are on the medium tyres, as we see Envy spinning, I believe, is that on the second chicane? Yes, clearly too much curb seems to be the reason for that. So, yeah, oh, there's another car going slow. Just in front of him, though.
Yeah, Envy now drops to P18. He's got the 5-second pen. And for one, I'm shocked to see a penalty going out, and it wasn't Scott that received it. It was Envy getting the 5-second for collision with Scott, who does appear to be doing okay. Law, the other Alpha Tauri, it's not a great day for the junior project team. He's gone off just after the first Lesmo, and it looks like he's going to be overtaken by his project teammate Miffy, who is going to be joining him in irrelevance at the moment.
One needs to be careful to not spin it. His rear tyres are boiling hot at 112 degrees.
Yeah, so unfortunate. Franklin has overtaken Blaze into P7, so Project Ferrari, they were tight together in Q2. They're really putting a nice little zone together between P4 and P7. It's lovely to see. Maka still having the primacy, the edge on the battle with Sunny, and that looks like a yellow flag in Sector 1 as our drivers make it around the first few corners. We've got an issue on Ascari as well, and Alpha Tauri appears to have spun.
Oh,
and it is the Alpha
again.
Tauri of Law for the second time this lap. The leaders are approaching him, so you'll need to make sure there isn't too much of an impact to them as they go round.
Yeah, his rear tires are just too hot, and he, unfortunately, to make matters worse, kicking him whilst he's down. The game has given him 10-second penalty for staying out the way of the leaders rather well. So, rather unfortunate for him, I must say.
Yeah, if I was a steward, and I'm not, but I'm on the oversight.
He's gone round again.
Oh and yeah, he's dodged the flow of traffic that time, but it just goes to show that it's so dangerous when you're spinning. That's a raindrop. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Law has had a really bad time. I think he'll be able to get that 10 seconds overturned, but he's going to have to go into the pits and rethink a strategy. So Dorman, that's rain. What are we thinking?
Oh, it started to rain. Well, Crispy doesn't care because he's gone past. If it started to rain already, then it's a matter of how long does it take until the rain really sets. Because anyone on the soft tyres, we expected lap 11, lap 12 to be pitting. Maybe 13 if you did not start on softs and made it to Q3, as your softs will not have done as many laps, because if the rain takes good 4 or 5 laps, those soft runners will really be feeling the pain towards the end of that, and the medium tyres will just give better performance, as we see Travesty with the DRS making his way past Crispy on the straight. Relatively straightforward performance of those media tyres, and his skill just showing as he makes it look pretty easy.
Now, Dorman, I want to see how the Ferrari team handle this, because if they all have to stop for the intermediate tyres, which is likely the case as the light rain crossover point becomes closer, if the two constructor teammates, for example Glenn and Gaben, stop on the same lap, there's a chance of double stacking. So they probably have to pit one on each lap, as we have a nice little spin on the end of Ascari. It's one of the Mercs, and it looks like our senior project captain, Blaze Homewrecker. He's going to have recovered himself. Luckily, a pit for Inters is a great time to change a wing. You lose a few seconds, but it's all part of the chaos.
Miffy is already on intermediates, which is a bit bold. I expect his tyres are probably overheating a bit, as it's not really wet enough for intermediates just yet, as, we have a spinner in Ascari. I believe that is Monty. Yes, he's another victim, and as it begins to rain, the track just becomes slippier. There's even less grip, and it's really a test to how well you can control the throttle and the brake whilst keeping it on track, as the race is about to get a lot more interesting from here on out.
Yeah, interesting in several ways. Int for intentional in the way of League of Legends, and also int for intermediate, which is a type of compound people will be going onto. You thought you saw Slipstream before. This is now a Slipstream. We've got all sorts of driving out, and that is a safety car being forced out onto the track.
Yeah, so Miffy on those intermediates, Lesmo 1, he just has no grip. He's on skates. Those intermediate tyres are providing no performance, and he's spun through the first Lesmo, lost his entire wing on the wall, and I believe just the debris has just brought out a safety car. So this is going to be bunching up the pack. How many people will pit for intermediates? This is going to be very interesting in terms of strategy. As we see Envy dive into the pits, P17, not much to lose in this situation, so he's going to go for it. As we see the Maka from P5 coming to the pits, maybe for some intermediates.
Well played. Right, I think Maka has made a brilliant call there. We had a similar situation in T4 of Brazil. Where
he's swapping to hards.
Oh no,
it's not intermediates. It's hards.
I think that's an input mistake from Maka. I was considering him as the 600 IQist player ever to grace VLF1, but then we've got the dry tyres coming on. And Glenn and Franklin are both going for the slicks as well. They've changed to medium compound under the safety car.
I'm not sure if it's wet enough. The times haven't been tumbling as quickly as you'd expect them to be for an intermediate. So looking at travel time, as he's in P1, lapping in the low 24s, high 23s mostly, up until lap 10, where he goes has a high 24, and his 10th lap was a 27.9. So he's losing 4 seconds a lap. Maybe that's enough, but then we also have to consider that was a safety car brought out, which could have affected him. So I'm just not convinced that the crossover point is there yet. I think maybe they're losing a second or two, but as Law showed, you're just going to spin.
But Dormin, the key point is, it's not about what's happening now. You can lose as much time as you like now, because under safety car, there's a couple laps of slow racing. It's actually the conditions in 2 or 3 laps that will matter to these drivers. So I think anyone who's pitting for intermediates now is anticipating a crossover point in 2 laps' time. And I think, depending on what Jeff's calling, that may be a good move. It's a sort of an investment in the future. What I think that a lot of drivers have done, though, is I think they've messed up the controls, like our Project Ferrari boys, and they've pitted for mediums instead of intermediates. So whereas Scott, Shadowhopper, Envy, and Miffy have switched to the intermediate tyres, I think people like Rowan, Charmander, Glenn, Franklin, they wanted to go intermediates, but they've selected the wrong tyres.
Miffy has gone round again, and I believe Monty has DNF'd on those intermediates. Did he just spin and hit the wall? Yeah, so from what we're aware, it is just he hit the wall. And yes, it might be an investment. You got to make it round under the safety car. It's easier than you might think to spinning under the safety car on tyres that are not suitable for the conditions. So yeah, this is really tricky conditions, and I do not know what I would be doing in this situation.
Yeah, from my experience, it's normally about 3-4 laps for completely dry conditions to reach a crossover point, but you can never call it that way. Jeff is normally king. Jeff, the in-game race engineer, is normally fantastic at calling the crossover point and when you should come in. if you come into the pits when Jeff says he's not sure what tyre is best, that's the way to go. But that's real-time information. To predict the conditions in 2 or 3 laps' time is an ambitious call. I still think changing to inters is good, but as Dormin says, it will create the conditions like we're seeing live on stream with Shadowhopper, where he can't point his car forward at the right time. He's going to have to wait a couple laps.
Yep, so I think, with Jeff, the problem with Jeff is that everyone has a Jeff. So if they all waited for Jeff to say come in now, then they'll all be coming in at the same lap, and no one will gain any positions.
Oh, and Shadow's gone as the second Alpine to leave, and we saw him losing it in the early part of the track. It's finally hit him.
Another intermediate runner loses it under safety car. So maybe people aren't listening to Jeff, but maybe they aren't listening to Jeff because Jeff is a bit of an idiot most of the time, except for when it comes to tires. He doesn't know what he's doing then when it comes to swapping over. But as I was talking about before Shadow put it in the wall, that if everyone listens to Jeff, there's no excitement. And all those people in the bottom half that aren't in the points need to take that risk and need to do something different. And so several of them have. We have, well, 3 running intermediate cars. But yeah, so we'll have to see how they're able to do, because currently 2 previous ones have put it in a war of some sorts.
I'm really confused by the different strategies coming out, because going on to inters, I can see why people have chosen that one. We've got a few varying strats as well, from Charmander going on to softs, so maybe looking for a 2-stop, assuming that the rain won't hinder him at all. And then we've got people like Maka and Rowan who have gone onto the hard tyres, again assuming that the rain won't hinder them, they'll be able to finish the race on the slicks, and will just aim to complete the rest of the race under the hard tyres. So between the hard, the soft, and the intermediates, it's hard to say from this perspective which is the best call, but I'm bemused at the differing strats at this point. I would personally be going on to inters, but I don't know best. I don't know what the in-game race engineer is delivering.
I think Travesty and the other medium runners will be a lot more comfortable than all the softs, because, yeah, we got safety car in this lap, but they're the ones who will have more grip. Crispy might struggle a bit, so instead of him going after Travesty, we may be seeing him under attack from Sunny, as those medium tires will just have less wear and delivering more performance at this stage in the race. The intermediate runners may have a difficult time. The rain does not seem to be getting heavier, and they may be needing to jump back in the pits and go into slicks again, or they may just play it out and go for whatever happens.
Yeah, at this point, I can't actually see any rain, but it's maybe because of the angle we're seeing from spectator view. We do get it as we come through. But importantly, let's look at the safety car restart. Travis leading everyone out. He's put on the accelerator now, and it's important that he goes right down the full length of the home straight, gets that braking point as we see a few drivers go into the pits. For now, Travis is going to go all the way down to turn 1. He's got to get the jump on Sunny, but he does have that first position on the track. He's got the priority, and it's going to be everyone making a long, slow snake into that first corner.
Yeah, Crispy dives into the pits, clearly wants to get rid of those very worn soft tyres, but picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. That will not help his race at all.
I want to have a look at if we can get production to switch to the tyres again. I want to see if we can find out what the drivers have gone onto now. Crispy onto mediums, Scotty onto mediums, and I believe Envy has also gone onto the softs. So our drivers are putting faith in the slicks. Most the intermediates, 2 have DNF'd, as you said, Dormin, and Miffy's got them, but he's not having too much faith in them right now.
Yeah, as we see Travesty coming round, he seems to be holding a decent gap, but Sunny is keeping up all right. Let's see if Travesty will be able to, if he's able to break the DRS gap that he needs. And yeah, we already have a surprisingly large gap on track from the second half of Narwhal all the way back to Crispy. That is 15 seconds of the 5 drivers that are pitted, as the rain seems to be picking up again a bit. I can't quite tell with these camera angles.
Yeah, it's so difficult to call, and especially the graphics aren't the key, it's how the track responds. And we've got a Red Bull sneaking up on the right-hand side. Charmander trying it now with, it looks like Icarus and Franklin. Charmander has the inside position for the braking into turn 1. and moves over to the outside. Franklin and Icarus colliding. Franklin getting the worse off. Doesn't look to have physically damaged his wing, but has damaged his chances of being competitive into that corner. Drops 2 positions, also behind Glenn and Neville.
Oh yeah, slow and steady moving Narwhal on probably the wrong tyres of the hards. I expect he wanted the medium tyres, though he did inform me that his game crashed and his strategy was to start on mediums, but he started on softs because of the game. So yeah, but he's made his way up to 11th, so slow and steady is slowly but surely making his way up the grid. Having not spun yet, he's doing all right for himself, even though he lacks the pace.
Yeah, and all you need is more drivers to DNF that aren't you, and suddenly you're in with more and more shots at the point. The Alpha Tauris have an absolutely torrid time at the moment. Envy is so far back as well. He's pretty much a full lap behind Scott in P14. So yeah, Navor is definitely in a group of drivers that are looking really good at the moment. Gaben is half a second behind Sunny and chasing him down. DRS, I don't know. Well, there we are. The race answers it for me. DRS has been enabled, which is very rare under any sort of rain conditions. That implies to me that the rain is not strong enough to force intermediates to be the best strategy. Both DRS and the fact that our drivers are on soft and medium tyres for the most part do back that up. Glenn coming down the inside, trying to make the move onto Icarus. He's looking for P9 as he goes on the inside into the first corner, taking a bit too much curb. The Haas having the inside on the second corner, and the better exit, so Icarus maintains P9.
Crispy pitting again. Wow, this is surprising as he got damage. Wasn't expecting him back in the pits again, and it does look as though he will be needing a new wing. Clearly gone. Oh, he's serving his 5 seconds to begin with from the previous speeding in the pit lane, and it looks as though with the soft tyres on and a new front wing, he's made a mistake. And yeah, between that 5-second penalty speeding and the second pit stop, it looks as though his race has gone from, well, second place and fighting for a lead in this race to fighting maybe for low points position.
In the meantime, there's a safety car. We've got the safety car coming out towards the first corner. Personally, I'm not sure what caused the safety car, but it's going to be out anyway. We know it likes to be thrown in. Hopefully we can get some race director confirmation of the incident that caused it. But yeah, it looks like our drivers are going into the pits this time. Safety cars can be brought out by what we like to call sideways rain, which is where the rain is too severe that even the full wet tyres can't make it. But that's not what we're seeing right now. We're seeing conditions where intermediates might be a call. But no, the safety car is causing people to switch onto flicks.
Well, I did not expect this. With all the pitting, Narwhal takes the lead of the race. What has happened here? I did not expect this. Right, so first down to 11th, all dive into the pits. And Narwhal, having already pitted and on the suboptimal hard tyres, drives his way through, it says bye-bye all, and puts himself right behind the safety car. Probably not knowing what the hell has happened to this race, that he's gone from P17 on the grid to first place.
Yeah, sure thing. I'll take a P1, says Navor. He's got the tyres to finish the race as well. He's on the hards. So he's still not the favourite, but he's in P1. You love it. You want to see yourself up there. Franklin as well. He got P3 in Zandvoort. He's in P2. So Trav will be seeing some drivers he's got a good chance of overtaking. But if Navor and Franklin can keep this up, that's some really good scores for them. I'm going to do some delving and see if I can find out what caused that safety car, because for me it came out of the blue.
I assume, based on the fact that Crispy pitted for a wing, he's gone round someone, hit the wall, broke his wing, and caused a lot of debris.
From what I can see, Dolman, there was a yellow flag just before the safety car being implemented, and it was caused by an Alpha Tauri, specifically the Alpha Tauri of Miffy, who was in P17 and last, spinning on a Scari. So that's my best guess. Miffy spun on a Scari, car stayed alive, but then the safety car came out as a result, lap 14.
Well, Miffy has stopped a whopping 6 times, averaging a stop more than once every 3 laps. So, yeah, Miffy probably spun on the Scari, lost his wing, hit the wall, brought out the safety car. And, yeah, I don't know if the safety car at this point is saving him or causing him more pain as he has to drive slower around the track.
At this point, Miffy is the safety car.
Yeah, as we see Blaze pitting from the mediums onto the soft, looking to get those faster tires, and he doesn't have much to lose as he may just about get ahead of Crispy, so this may be the freest of free pit stops. Will he get out ahead or will Crispy get him? It looks as though Crispy does have the speed as there is no delta on the track, so Crispy is able to full throttle it down the straight, and Blaze, for the cost of only one position, gets fresh, new, soft rubber.
Yeah, with lap 18 at the moment, the safety car is trundling its way down. A lot of the field has bunched up, and Blaze will be able to get in that lineup. There's only really going to be 8 or 9 laps of racing now. I can't tell for sure how severe the rain conditions are, but there have been a lot of spins in the last few races, in the last few laps of this race. We've had a lot of spins anyway because Monza is such an interesting track. So the stakes couldn't be higher. There's a lot of unpredictability. To be honest, this is how Blaze finished the Season 4 race, coming off the back of a safety car with only a small amount of delta up front, and that's how he ended up P2, with the top 10 being decided by something like 8-9 seconds. We are set for a similar end, and I don't think we've seen the last safety car here.
Yeah, another safety car, and this is the second or the third. I'm losing track here already. This is, yeah, I'm confirmation. This is second, and there was a VSC as well. So there will probably be another, especially if conditions to be in the awkward wet but slicks situation. And the more safety cars, the better it is for anyone who, well, is towards the top but not expecting themselves to be there, such as Narwhal and Franklin, who have found themselves from P11 and 12 all the way up in the top 2 positions. And we're looking to be scoring some good points here.
I don't know who's got Miffy on the bribe list, but Miffy's the only reason why the safety car isn't coming in yet. It will go for its full 3 laps. Correction, sorry, that's Law, not Miffy. So the Alpha Tauri is just really making sure that there's only 8 and not 9 laps of racing at the end of this. Yeah, I think Rowan might have slipped Law a few Danish kroner. We'll see how that lands after the race. Rowan is, with 9 laps to go, the leader of the Italian Grand Prix. Couple more safety cars and he's got this.
Yeah, I mean, if you go safety car to the end, it's his race win, but unfortunately the game doesn't work like that, and none of us want to see another 8 laps of safety car. So we will see how he does. I'm not actually sure how much experience he has leading a safety car restart. I don't remember a situation having raced with him in multiplayer races where he's been first place under a safety car. So we'll see what he knows from his experience watching races, and I guess being further back in the pack, if he's able to get a good getaway and really break away from Travesty, although Travesty does have new fresh softs. So we'll see if he's able, how long it'll take him to overtake Franklin and Narwhal as the safety car is in this lap.
Yeah, Narwhal, of course, as you've just said, he's going to have to handle the restart. A rookie mistake that we've seen other drivers make in the past, #Hodgson, has been just sort of going as fast as you can and then having your throttle inhibited by the fact that you're close to the safety car. The key thing is that while you are just making sure you put your mind games on, making sure the safety car is far enough ahead that it'll go into the pits. I don't think Narwhal's done this. I think his throttle's going to get cut out, and I think he's left himself right for the picking here.
He hasn't left himself a lot of room, but he's left himself a bit. Is it enough?
We'll see Franklin get an absolute slingshot on him. Look at that difference in acceleration there. Franklin already alongside. Trav looking to pick both of them apart with the soft tyres, but they're already too wide. I don't think Trav gets away in here.
Oh, 3 wide.
Too wide from the side here. And yeah, Travis is going to get hit there by a Haas. Narwhal and Trav collide. It's chaos in the first 2 corners. There's a couple Ferraris that have made themselves into the top field. Trav has been impacted. Glenn and Gaben in P2 and P3. Sonny's found himself out of nowhere in P4. Loads of soft runners coming through now. Pyro moves himself up into P6. Maka is around the back as well. The timing stack has gone into absolute overload, but we are seeing Ferraris go around the second chicane here. The Aston Martin of Sonny is going to overtake Glenn, and Maka is going to find himself in P5 as the field starts to resolve. Hometown hero Pyro in 6th, and Narwhal was in P1. He's dropping back slowly down the field.
Yeah, he's gone off the track again. Chaos at turn 1. Great run from Franklin. Goes to the overtake on Narwhal, and it seems as though he just outbraked himself cut to turn one pretty badly, managed to hit Travesty as he came onto the track. Not his finest moment, and since then has just spun, lost so many positions, and he's currently sitting in 9th place. So not what he wanted to see, as Charmander pretty quickly on his tail and looking to claim. Although saying that, the timing board looks very different to what I'm looking at, so I'm not gonna trust that as the leaders come through for the next lap of racing.
Yeah, we're seeing Pyro move up on Maka here. Pyro has the fresh soft tyres. This is optimal for the end of the race with 7 laps to go. Maka still has his say though. He's on mediums on the outside. Pyro still biding his time there and getting a really good exit. He's going to go on the outside of Maka going into Curva Grande. And we go further back here as we look at Blaze. He's going to be well low, and that's a massive explosion of wing ahead. I'm not sure who caused that, but that's a slow McLaren. We're going to wait for confirmation on the timing stack as the lead is rapidly exchanging between our top drivers. But it looks like on track at least, Travis
having
is
a
ahead.
moment. The timing stack is having an absolute moment because Nawo, who I believe has just stopped, it says he's in P1. And if we look at the map, he's not in P1. So I do not think the timing board can be trusted at all in this current situation. We're going to have to go off the map as, yeah, not sure whose wing that was. But Travesty continues to lead.
We saw a slow McLaren around that section. It could have been Scott, but also our production is pointing out that the foam boards are liable for hilarious explosion. Trav coming around Parabolica here. Hopefully the timing board resets at the start of this, lap 22, 6 laps of racing to go in round 7, the Italian Grand Prix. Sonny is going to have a nice attack here on Gaben in light rain conditions, but with everyone on slick tyres. Gaben adjusting a few times, but Sonny remaining in that slipstream. Gaben still has the first line into that corner and is able to keep the exit out of it.
I'm watching Law drive backwards through cars down the main straight. So either that's an issue on my side, or Cody's is having... I don't know what they're doing, but they need to... Yeah, I'm watching Law drive the wrong way down the main straight through cars and through the ground. So...
Yeah, let's look away from Law for a moment as we look at the front of the race. As the timing board again finds itself in Narnia. I think that's Cody's way of saying it's having a moment. We see Trav still leading the race. Let's take a look at the start of the board. As we now see a McLaren spinning. That's going to be the McLaren of Scott between the two Lesmos. It's going to be very difficult to get himself back into traction because of the tyres, because of the high tyre temps, and because of the spinning conditions caused by the moisture. Either way, Trav still leads with 5 laps to go. Sonny's going to chase Gaben. I don't know if he's going to have space for another attack, but Charmander has found his way up the field as well. He's close to Glenn going into Parabolica.
Ooh, this is going to be close as Envy gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags as he was getting lapped. And no DRS for Sonny. Has that been enabled yet? Because I believe we've done 3 racing laps, have we not? So is it raining hard enough that the game says I'm not going to turn on DRS?
That must be the way to go. To be honest, I can't place too much faith in the functions of the game at the moment, as Law's found his way to go forwards on the track. Gaben's going to pass him in what the game would have us believe is P13, but is actually P2.
Oh, and we have somebody going off. An Alfa Romeo around Parabolica has led to a safety car. I believe that is Franklin spinning at the Parabolica as DRS gets enabled, and someone else at Ascari. Yeah, it looks like Narwhal has DNF'd. Ascari has proven another fatality as Charmander gets drive through penalty for a reason that I was not able to spot.
So yeah, a lot has happened in the last few seconds. The key one here is that Scott's had a bit of a spin. Noel had a bit more of a spin in that he retired his car in Ascari. We've got a safety car. This is a really critical one. It's currently lap 22, so only 5 laps to go. By the time the safety car comes out, all of our drivers form up behind it, gets into a chain, the safety car does a couple of laps and then comes back in. There's only really 2 laps to go. So whereas in other situations it might be best to plan a final stint of full length, a lot of the drivers that are out are going to stay on those tyres. A key thing that we can see though is that so many of our drivers are really struggling with the conditions. Monza was treacherous anyway, so was the F1 2021 handling model. Throw a bit of moisture in there, and the fact that drivers might not be adapting too well with dry setups to slightly wet conditions, and you have the absolute feces show that is happening all across the timing stack, and between a lot of our drivers right now. The drivers with experience and consistency, namely Trav, Gabe, and Sunny Pyro, have found their way to the top. They're on soft tyres, and I expect they'll be staying out. It's just a matter of seeing how long the safety car is out for. It should go in at the end of lap 25 if all goes well, which gives everyone 2 laps of racing.
Yeah, so confirmation that Charmander Nerd was speeding under the safety car, and he did not keep the delta positive. So after the safety car comes in, as the drive-through cannot be served during a safety car, he will dive into the pits to drive through the safety car, not change his tyres, and come out the back. So Charmander's had a very up and down weekend here with a poor qualifying, taking an unnecessary risk, finishing P11, doing well in the race to get himself back up into P6, and now a drive-through penalty will really hurt his chances at a top 10 finish. Although saying that, he does have a 57-second gap to Crispy, so it may be a P10 for him.
Yeah, Charmander not looking too good there. Scott further down, and Law, Miffy, the two of them have just had a bit of a race to forget in the AlphaTauri team. That's almost good management from Trav for putting them in the junior team, but that's a bit BM. They've kept things on track and they haven't retired, which can't be said for 5 drivers so far, so a bit of a learning experience for the guys. I don't think anyone wanted to have a rainy crash fest for half the race. We finish lap 24 with the safety car still staying out. Trav will take us into a restart. This will be at least the second lap of the safety car. It's been the case in previous safety cars that we go into a third lap. However, I'm pretty sure the game at this point doesn't allow a safety car in the final 2 laps. So whatever happens, it should come in this lap.
Yeah, we should get 2 laps of racing. As you say, safety car will come in just because it doesn't like there to be a safety car in the final 2 laps. There is no finishing under safety car. We will be racing. FIA doesn't have a say whether they are, and unlike in Abu Dhabi, the safety car will be coming in for sure. We can guarantee, and we will get racing again.
Yeah, no one can unlap themselves, though. That's some consistency. We do have a McLaren. That is, I believe, Scott, just behind Trav. And he's obviously out of position. He's a lap down. And that's only brilliant for Trav, because then he's got a lot of defensive movements that could happen behind him. If Scott gets in the way of Gaben and Sonny's potential attacks, then that's only good. Also great for Pyro, Scott's teammates, because if Scott can back Gaben and Sonny up into Pyro, and that gives a nice boost to the homeboy hero in McLaren.
Well, having a look at the order before we expect the safety car to come in, Travesty leads the race, as we do get confirmation of that. As expected, Travesty has raced very well, consistent, no major incidents. As expected, Salty Gavin up 10 places from a P12 start. Excellent race from him. Sunny will be hunting for that P2 where he started. Copy in P4, which is where he started. Maka making up 1 spot. Charmander making up 5, but will lose several due to his drive-through. Glenn up 1, Blaze up 1, Icarus making up 8 places from P17 on the grid. Very good race for him. Carlos starting in his P10 spot. Crispy lost 8 starting in 11th and has another penalty to serve as Travesty backs out the pack and will dart off into the distance as he chooses which is now.
Yeah, let's see if he goes through. Charmander speeding on his way into the pit lane, but let's not take account of that one. Gaben is herring it down the straight with Sunny at his side. Pyrofire, his teammate Scott, has got out of the way. Trav is going to lead us into turn 1. Sunny and Gaben are really close here. They could contact on the outside. Gaben gets primacy here. He's going to have the leading line to attack on Travis with 2 laps of racing to go. The 4 front runners have the soft tyres. Project Ferrari medium shield board of Maka and Glenn in P5 and 6. Blaze making a move on his favourite driver, Glenn. There's only a 10th in it, and there's so many close battles. We wouldn't have it any other way in VLF1. It did happen last year with a close battle under a released safety car. We're going to be seeing the same here. Gaben trying to chase down Trav as they go through the Lesmos. Sunny just behind, and Pyro at the moment holding down P4.
Gaben's staying really close here, actually. Maybe he can get a run on Travesty, because unlike Sunny, who will have to get past Gaben, who also has a slipstream, Travesty doesn't have anyone slipstream off. So if Gaben can really keep close through Ascara here in Parabolica, he may have a shot at the lead because he's staying really close behind and his tyres are the same age as Travesty's. So Yeah, Travis is trying to break the slipstream as they go into the Parabolica.
Okay, so slipstream, ERS, no DRS in these conditions. Sonny going around. This is his chance to attack Gaben before the end of the end of this lap and the start of the final lap. We won't get the effect of that full straight for one more time. When they come back around Parabolica, that will be it. There's a yellow flag at the back, but we're not going to focus on that right now, as Sonny is very close to Gaben. Can he make an attack here? He goes around the outside. He can't get the attack and he can't get the switchback either. Gaben leads. Blaze makes a move on Glenn as they go around into turns 1 and 2. Glenn now half a second back. The deltas are opening from those medium runners. Blaze's soft tyres really making the difference here. Sonny is still half a second back on Gaben. The battles are so close. Dormin, can Trav do it?
Well, it doesn't seem as though the rain will stop him. It doesn't seem as though the safety car will stop him. And even now we're trying to take him out, coming onto the track and hitting him. Cannot stop him. As we see, I believe, is that Copy spinning out?
That's horrific. Homeboy Hero losing it on the last lap. I don't know if he can get points, but let's focus on this final battle as they come into the final few turns of the race. Trav leading everyone out. They're within DRS if DRS is such a thing. Gaben within 0.7 of a second. Sonny going through Ascari. Disqualifications further back, but again, focus on the podium here. At the moment, it's Trav, it's Gaben, it's Sonny. Sonny looking for any sort of slipstream, but it's looking less and less likely. Gaben's going to go round Parabolica. Trav getting a really nice line as he has done 26 times already. And Trav is going to come home to win his second race of the season, the Italian Grand Prix, take home that 25 points, and Gaben and Sonny are going to follow him up for those podium finishes.
Oh, that was an exciting last few laps. But Travis, he shows his cool, makes no mistakes, and yeah, a very close finish from the top three. But in the end, they finished as they were at the end of the safety car.
Yeah, Pyro had a disqualification there. Nightmare lap from him. He went off to the side of the track, lost a bit of his wing, and then DSQ Crispy coming around the side. We had Williams coming in to finish there. Carlos and Crispy holding down P8 and P9. Charmander with an absolute nightmare of the last few laps. He looked to have recovered, but then earned himself a drive-through. He's probably going to get a fat penalty there. 20 seconds for an unserved drive-through. As Franklin comes through, is almost certainly going to usurp that last point position from Charmander. There he is, 1 point for Franklin, and Charmander sitting, staring at the same position he saw himself in at the end of Q2, P11.
Yeah, Charmander really not having a nice day, as Icarus takes a well-earned driver of the day, making up, I think, at least 8 positions in that race. But yeah, Charmander speeding in the pit lane as his first penalty after starting in P11. Then gets himself a drive-through, and then gets another speeding in the pit lane, and also had the which the drive-through was from the speeding in the safety car. So not a good race for Charmander, messy, and risks were not calculated as Travesty celebrates his win along with Gaben and Sonny.
Yeah, Gaben and Sonny doing really well there, but Trav, he's looking at his project, which is in shambles all around him. Charmander looking really good at chance for good points, but then nosing it up at the last moment. And then the 2 Alpha Tauris doing... Trav doesn't know what towards the back of the grid, but he's not going to mind too much there. He's just going to go and absolutely smurf it and take home his second win. He's got to be proud of that one. Looking at the table, the World Drivers' Championship table before the race, Trav was leading Sonny by, I believe it was 18 points. So getting another massive lead on Sonny and any challengers like Gaben is only going to be brilliant. Even without Charmander scoring, Trav is going to keep the Red Bull flag flying high. So really well played. Maka actually advances into P4. Glenn in P6 is going to make sure Ferrari scores highly. Blaze with a really nice final stint gets himself into P5. Icarus, the 2 Williams drivers, and Franklin making up the rest of the points. So yeah, any initial impressions from that one, Dormin? What stood out to you today?
Well, first conclusion is that Travesty put on a masterclass. Started P1, kept up with the soft runners on his medium tires, pitted at the right time, and made the right moves when he needed to be. Didn't make any mistakes, as we saw many mistakes across the grid. Spins, bins, and everything in between. And yeah, he had a masterclass. Icarus also showing his cool. Didn't see any mistakes from him either, so shows how he got up into the points position. And I think the only other surprise is that without a lot of knowledge going into this, Charmander kind of disappointing. Not cool, calm, and collected, I would say.
Yeah, Travers just messaged me after his win, and he just said staying blessed. He didn't put the hashtag on there like Lewis, but yeah, he must have rode the luck and also used his not inconsiderable amount of skill. Yeah, unfortunate for his team, but Trav, after battling with Crispy and then negotiating the safety cars really well, came out on top. It was a great showing from all of our drivers. Unfortunate with a few DNFs, maybe earlier than they expected. We've managed to battle through weather conditions, a couple of Cody's issues, a reverse timing stack, and a couple of switches around in the order. But we see Trav, Gaben, and Sonny taking the podium. Great showings for Williams Constructor and Project Ferrari. And yeah, it was fantastic. Tell us what you think in Twitch chat or in Discord. This video will go up on YouTube. And Dormin, have you got anything to say before we close off the stream? Spinola. That's all we can do. Thanks to Dormin. Thanks to our production. Thanks to all of our drivers, assists. Cheers, Couchy, and anyone who was watching. Have a great Sunday evening, and we'll be back after 3 more weeks on January the 9th, 2022, with our 8th Grand Prix of the season at Portimao. Until then, much love, and have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.